Good morning. It's Thursday morning. Russ Clark with you, Mortgage One Studios, and I started on time today. Not that that should be unusual, but I've been behind a few days. I think here's the difference. The difference is Derek Egbert, who owns the building and Mortgage One Studios here. He's been coming in early because he's had appointments at 6 a.m. Yeah, he keeps appointments at 6 a.m. On the mortgage side of things. When he's doing mortgages, he'll meet with clients that early. He's committed. Well, he gets here around 5:30, and I'll sit down and talk to him about some projects and some things going on with the studio, and I lose track. I lose track of time. I didn't have to worry about that today. I don't know where Chris Larson is. Chris, who generally comes in on Thursdays, he he's been known to be just on time. We'll see. He still may make it just on time. All content presented in the Russ Clark Show, including statements made by guests, commentators, and callers, reflect the personal opinions of those individuals and is provided for informational and entertainment purposes only. These views do not represent the official positions of Mortgage One Studios, its owners, employees, affiliates, or partners. Mortgage One Studios does not endorse, verify, or guarantee the accuracy, completeness, or reliability of any statements made by third parties during programming. And that's out of the way. Elections, are going on, and I haven't done a lot with the elections. Of course, it's the primaries, and because I am on the board for the Republican Party, I I try not to get too mixed up in the primary because I'm not going to pick one Republican over another during the primary. I just try not to do that, but I will state I'll state my opinion if I'm on the radio and I talk enough about it. Now I probably shouldn't, so kind of stayed away. That being said, I'm going to discuss a little bit today, particularly here in Yuma, what's going on in Yuma. Let's see where I have. Okay, here it is. I had a couple political things set up, and this one, and I do not know Alex Colden. Colden, is it Colden? He's a representative right now. He's running for Secretary of State. I know of him. I um, I hear good things, and he is a solid conservative. He's a Freedom Caucus guy, and noteworthy for that. And some say, and I got an article here that some say that Freedom Caucus, particularly Sabota, says that it may keep him from winning in a. I don't believe so. I don't believe so. Donald Trump is kind of a MAGA guy. He is, and he won the state of Arizona as a MAGA guy. But yet some think that Alex Colodin, with the same approach and the same fervor towards keeping small government and founding fathers type involvement, all that kind of stuff, is going to slow him down. I don't know that there's any reason to really think that, but he is right now in a race for the Secretary of State, and it's a primary, and he's got one main opponent that I know about. I think that's it though. Is Gina Swoboda, and he's leading in the polls. Alex is 44 over 20. Now Gina Swoboda was the president or chairman of the Republican Party for a couple of years, and again, I don't want to say too much about it except that Alex is leading. You know, he's leading the thing, and it looks like it's going to be between him and Adrian Fontes. Now Fontes, I can tell you, I don't like him at all. What he's done, and he's a big liberal, and probably I can't believe he's playing with the elections. I don't trust him as far as transparency and everything else. And he changed the voting book and put things in there that just uh, wasn't wasn't approved by Congress or our legislature or anything. And he's just the wrong guy, Adrian, not the guy we need around. So we've got another a couple weeks before we find out who's going to be the final two. But right now all the big money's on Culloden to doing that. The Culloden and a little history on him. He got some attention after the 2020 election. He filed an unsuccessful lawsuit aiming at overturning Joe Biden's victory in this state, saying that there was issues with our elections, and we know there were. In fact, the U.S. government's on it now. He came out front with it, and he provided legal representation for the electors that were set up, the electors in case it was turned over, the election was turned over. They already selected the electors that would replace the electors that supported the Democrat. They call them the fake electors. Well, they were real electors, but they were not activated. They never had the opportunity to do anything. And it was a big hullabaloo about that, like it was illegal and it was trying to. No, it's been done before. You put them in just in case. You kept them up there in case you had the opportunity to turn over the election or change it or show that there were some things going on that were not proper. So there was a backup set. No, they didn't go in and try to arm themselves and go in and take over or anything. It was just a bunch of hype over nothing. But he was behind helping them and representing them, and of course, nothing ever happened to them in the long run. He was sanctioned in the bar though by the bar, a lawyer in 2023, and part of that settlement, sanctioned for I guess trying to overturn Biden, I guess, or it can't be for providing representation, but it had to be that. And it required him to admit that he violated ethics rules. That was his punishment. Uh, Now it probably didn't change his influence. I think it did. I think it made him more popular. He's willing to do the right thing no matter what the cost. He's willing to step up. I kind of like that about him. Again, I've never met him. I've never spoken with him, so I don't know him personally. I just know him through reputation and things I've read. The he also authored a proposal constitutional amendment, for the state that will require voters who cast ballots by mail to present ID. Last month, the GOP-run legislature voted to place Coleman's plan in the fall general election ballot, and that would allow Republicans to avoid a veto from the Democrat Katie Hobbs. Of course, she's the governor, and if they put it in the legislature and voted it through the House and the Senate and all that, Hobbs would just veto it. So they just said, well, we're going to go right to the general election. A group called Protect the Vote Arizona put forth a competing plan that Fontes put together. Of course, now I don't trust it. He's part of that liberal side that, like California, would like to do away with all restrictions on voting. Vote early, vote often, no IDs, no address, no records, doesn't matter. No citizenship. That's not what he was doing at this point, but he put forth something that would enshrine mail voting in the Arizona Constitution. In other words, I don't know what state does. There's a state out there that does just strictly voting by mail. Fonte's idea was to do that. But on July 1st, they didn't believe they had enough signatures to make the ballot. Protect the Vote said it would instead focus on thwarting Culloden's amendment. Apparently, Culloden went out on X right away and started talking like he's already beat Fontes at the ballot. It's not even November. I already beat him at the ballot box, of course. Not the vote, but just the fight for the ballot box. Swoboda, who is also in the race, and of course she's down, but she's got less than half. I mean, Culloden only has 44% of the vote, according to polls, and Swoboda has 20, which means there's a lot of undecided. But she told the news organization that Culloden would have a -0 chance of unseating the incumbent, and I guess that's the go-to. Vote for me because I'm still better than not winning. That's a weak position, I think. I would not advise people to run on that, to run on vote for me because the other guy couldn't win. You see it occasionally. It does happen, but I think that's a losing strategy. It's not like vote for me because I want to make these changes or vote for me because I'm the best leader. Yeah, it's vote for me because the other guy can't win. In fact, he would have a -0. I don't know if he can have that, but that's what she says. And that he is a highly polarizing person. Right. And here's my viewpoint on highly polarizing people. Highly polarizing people are generally successful people, and they get criticized because mostly they're successful. Look, Elon Musk is highly polarizing. Yeah, because he's a trillionaire or was a trillionaire. He's not right now, by the way. If you don't know, he kind of dipped a little bit. SpaceX stock has gone down from that initial surge, but he's highly polarizing because he has opinions. He gives them out. And it's not necessarily opinions for or against things, other than opinions how he thinks the world's going to be, how technology is going to be. Yes, he does come out and do politics too. He does. Yeah, he does. He's had a fight with California because they fight him, and he pushes back, and that makes him polarizing, I guess. So I don't buy into the polarizing thing too much. It just means that Cullinan has an opinion. He steps forward. He doesn't kind of try to get lost in the crowd. He's part of the Freedom Caucus. He fights for the rights he believes is right, and you know what you get when you vote for him because he'll take the heat. He'll stand for something, and I like that a lot more out of politicians. I've interviewed way too many. I've interviewed a lot of politicians, and a lot of times I ask questions and I don't know what the answer. I mean, they give me an answer and I can't figure out which side they stand on. Still, I like the guys who go straight to the yes or no, and here's why. Um, but that usually is what they consider highly controversial or polarizing because you have an opinion or a strong opinion. Well, I'll vote for strong opinions any day. As long as those opinions are not communistic, socialistic, and give it away or open borders, but strong opinions. And the strong opinions that Alex Colleran has is is the things that I would agree with. Fiscal responsibility, the closing of the borders, and all that kind of stuff, following the law. Um, you see, the Calderon says, when there's a fight to be had, I'm willing to fight. But I don't believe everything is a fight. I don't believe everything. I don't believe that our system is helplessly broken. I do not want to burn it to the ground. The Freedom Caucus is what he's involved in. And some people scream at the Freedom Caucus as being too radical, because it's too literal, believes in the Constitution and the founding fathers, visions of smaller government and all that kind of stuff. And something I guess I knew it, I'd forgot about it. Swoboda, his opponent in the Republicans, she worked for Hobbs when as an elected official when the governor was Secretary of State, when he said she was Secretary of State. Swoboda worked for her. That doesn't make her a Democrat, but um, at one time Trump endorsed Swoboda. Do you know that? Yeah, Trump did because she was running. She wasn't running for Secretary of State. She was going to run for Congress. And there were two Republicans, one former Arizona Cardinals kicker, Jay Feely, and Swoboda. Well, Trump endorsed them both. So I guess Swoboda backed out of that race and switched over to Freedom. I mean, to the Secretary of State. Trump did not endorse her for that. The endorsement did not travel. Now she's been endorsed by the Arizona Police Association, but not Trump. I mean, Trump didn't pull anything. He endorsed her uh, for that, which I find curious, and not for the other. So I don't know. I have no insight into that conversation or what happened there, why that changed. But we'll know in a few days that what happens with that race coming up. But I'm the heavy money's going on Alex right now because he's got the lead and the momentum, and he's at 44% according to polls. That means that the undecided he needs 6% of the undecideds that we don't know about yet, and Swoboda would need 30% of the undecideds. Unless something happens, I I think it's leaning, one way, very heavily. We'll we'll see. The voters decide, obviously. Um, Trump just fired a court-appointed top prosecutor in Seattle. That shouldn't be big news, it's they're allowed to do that. That's federal. And Supreme Court said, yeah, Trump's in charge. Trump's the executive branch. He is the executive branch, and he can hire and fire people. And that's something. He had to go to the Supreme Court had to decide that because when he's firing people, people were suing and saying you can't fire me because I've had my job, and Supreme Court put a stop to that nonsense. Eventually, it takes time, but they got it done, and where he's in control of things. This person he fired was a King County Superior Court judge, Roger Rogoff. Um, he he was hired as a prosecutor. He was put in the job um, yesterday before 8 o'clock in the morning. Not by Trump. No, Trump didn't do it now, and which is confusing. But he was done by the other judges, and you see, and they're allowed to do that. The the reason he was allowed to do that because the the department was being held by a temporary appointment. A temporary appointment was in that department, and that temporary appointment ran out. It's lasts for 120 days or whatever, but that prosecutor continued to sit there, and he was put there by Donald Trump. Well, when a seat is run over, I mean, is when a seat is open, and there's a temporary in there that goes past that time, and the Trump and the administration, the president does not assign a new temporary or find one that takes the job permanently. District court judges can appoint a temporary use attorney. Yep, they can do that. So the the judges up in Seattle decided, yeah, we're just gonna appoint our guy. And asked this Charles Neil Floyd. John Charles Neil Floyd is the one that was sitting in the office, the Attorney General's office, and he was temporary, 120-day interim, which ended in February, by the way. But yeah, he's still there. Well, I guess they didn't even check with the administration on it, which would have not, I mean, not required, but apparently polite and customary to get a hold of the administration, and say we'd like to appoint one of our own, and that didn't happen. They just put him in the office at 8 a.m. and at the courthouse in Seattle. In a phone interview, he said he went to the U.S. Attorney's office and asked to meet with Charles Neil Floyd because that position ended. And while he waited in the lobby, and they said, "Well, yeah, go ahead, sit down in the lobby. Uh, Charles Floyd will be right with you, I guess." So while he's sitting in the lobby, he got an email from the Trump administration informing he'd been removed. Yeah, that fast. Mess around, find out. So 8 o'clock in the morning, and I don't know what time that was, but he went right over to to relieve Charles. He never got the opportunity to meet with him, probably. Doesn't say one way or the other, but I would assume after he got the email from the Trump administration, there was no need to meet with him. Now he's consulting with lawyers about suing over his firing. I hope he does. I mean, the Supreme Court was already pretty clear on that. That's Trump's decision. According to this article, presidents normally appoint U.S. attorneys, the top federal prosecutor in each judicial district. The positions require Senate confirmation, which very hard for Trump to get Senate confirmation. Maybe, except in temporary appointments. Temporary appointments expire before a nominee is confirmed. The judges in a judicial district can name a U.S. attorney, and that's what happened. According to Todd Blanche, our acting U.S. Attorney General, again appointed, district court judges can appoint a temporary U.S. attorney, and POTUS can fire them. And he said judges who appointed Rogoff abandoned the time-honored process of consultation with the administration so that the selected U.S. attorney is qualified to serve in the administration because they still serve in the administration. And Floyd, that currently is in there, previously served as an immigration judge, interim U.S. attorney last October, but never forwarded the nomination to the Senate. When Floyd's time as interim U.S. attorney expired, Trump simply shifted his title. So changed his title, which has been done, whether you agree with it or not. I generally don't, but that's what Trump did. Just changed his title. And Trump changed it, and then that's a tactic that's, I guess, federal judicial districts they've looked at, or at least appeals court panels have looked at it with skepticism on whether that's really a legal thing to do. Nobody says it's illegal. They just, skeptic. U.S. Senator Patty Murray, she's a Democrat, of course, opposes Floyd for the U.S. attorney. She, of course, she's there in Washington. She said throughout his career, he has demonstrated an outstanding commitment. What she's talking about, she opposed Floyd, but she wants Rogoff, the guy that just got fired by Trump. And she said throughout his career, he's demonstrated an outstanding commitment to public service. And he was appointed legally by federal judges in the Western District of Washington. And the administration doesn't want to deal with advice and consent. They just want to install cronies to carry out corrupt political agenda. So Patty doesn't want Trump's cronies. She wants her cronies, I guess. So it's a fight over cronyism. Whose cronies are we going to have in there? Because face it, when you appoint somebody like that, it's going to be somebody that you agree with, somebody that you can work with ideologically within that administration. It's Trump's administration. It's not Patty's. U.S. Senator Patty. She doesn't get to decide, and she sounds a little peeved about it because Roger was legally appointed, which he was. He was. There's rules for that can happen. And there's also rules that Trump can fire him. I like the simplicity that Todd Blanche put it. District courts can be appointed by temporary U.S. attorney. I can appoint a temporary U.S. attorney, and POTUS can fire them. It's pretty simple, direct and to the point. Doesn't need a lot of explanation. I like that a lot. So the war goes on. It does. Continuing on the political lines a little bit, 13 moderate Democrats, there is such a thing. They're like a unicorn right now. I guess depending on what you consider moderate at this point, because you've got the Socialist Party that's really formed up in the Democrat Party, and they feel very strong because of Mandami's leadership and all that. Well, the moderates are not getting noticed, so they're stepping forward, and they came forward and signed some kind of a declaration, a letter they wrote up, and the name of the declaration is A Promise to America, and it's a pledge. It's a promise to America. They had to write out some things they stand for, the promise that they stand for. So they declared, we are capitalists, not socialists. Amazing. Amazing that needs to be declared. We're in the United States of America, capitalistic society, that is the wealthiest nation in the world and the most successful nation in the world for a lot of reasons. One of it's very much because we're capitalists. And they feel they have to state that. And I'll talk more about that. Let me take a phone call. You're on the air. Good morning. Well, that was a number I didn't recognize, but I can't be getting this from Louisiana. I can't be getting spam calls this early in the morning. That would be odd. Let me see if I've ever had that call before. My phone. Nope, never before. 6:24 in the morning. Is it possible to get a spam call at 6:24 in the morning? Don't know. We'll find out. But it's amazing. Well, this is Mike. I know who this is. Good morning, Mike.
Well, I'll jump in front of that person.
Go right ahead.
Democrat capitalist.
Yeah.
What a bunch of BS.
Well,
Every,
there's
everybody knows. Go ahead.
they're serious about it. They wouldn't put it in writing because
No, they aren't.
that
No,
doesn't
they aren't.
that
Russ,
doesn't get them a
listen,
table at lunch. You know, you have to
the
sit alone.
Democrats always have to campaign to the right.
Well, that's
That's all
true.
they're doing. That's just another means of. There's not. You cannot have capitalist and Democrat in the same sentence.
I agree with you. I think it's like a unicorn. So possibly doesn't exist. It may be just a campaign thing, but it's kind of shows fraction.
Absolutely.
You know.
No, it does not. It is. They campaign to the right to get voted in. They are communist. They are communist. They are communist. As that when you see Democrat, you say communist.
Well,
they are campaigning to the right. That is the big. I heard that at Gutfeld last night, and I peed my pants.
oh, what's that?
Democrat communist.
Okay.
I mean, Democrat capitalist.
Yeah.
That does not exist at all. That's like Satan and the Holy Spirit. They can't occupy the same space.
Yeah.
Really, that's not a joke.
Okay.
So, don't let them get away with that. Democrat capitalist. That's BS to the max. Democrats have to vote to the right. And this just proved this. Democrats socialist. They can't campaign who they really are. And now they tried, and we hate them more than we hated them before.
Yeah.
Don't let them get away with that narrative. Don't perpetuate that narrative. There's no such thing as a Democrat capitalist. There's just no such thing. That's just a Stalinsky tactic. My God.
There may be one. There may be a unicorn, but
no,
no, wait a minute. I'm gonna agree with you. These 13 are looking at the election, and they're in districts that are not automatic Democrat districts. So there's something like that. There's something probably.
That's called pandering.
Yes. Yeah.
It's called pandering.
Yeah.
But they are no way capitalists. They are, for the longest time, they subtly have to. They cannot win on the arena of ideas. That's from Rush Limbaugh, and they have to continue to campaign to the right. Otherwise, they don't get elected without voter fraud.
Well, they've only got 13 that have signed this pledge out of the Democrats in the House. This is just a House. They're also calling for secure borders. They're calling for fiscal responsibility.
Really,
they're calling for national pride. I'm like,
I don't believe them at all.
Wow. That's amazing.
I don't believe them at all.
Well, it's interesting to put it out, though.
Add the caveat narrative, Russ. Democrats have to vote, have to campaign to the right. That's how you report that.
That is
to be put out there. Yes,
that is a fact.
Add the damn caveat.
Yeah,
what?
That is a fact. They generally do. Look at Biden. When Biden ran, you didn't know how liberal he was. Look at Gallego. He ran like he was Ronald Reagan. And
Gallego, who ran against Gallego? Carrie Lake, right?
Yeah, Carrie Lake. Yeah, but
I can't get all those Gallegos, Gamegos, Ovagos. Gallego is a communist.
Yeah,
and the Republican Party helped him get elected. I will never forgive them for that.
Okay, you don't
have
to.
The Republican Party hated their own candidate, and they helped Gallego get elected. So now we have another communist stronghold, just like Guterres in the 7th district.
I think they bought into Gallego's lies. They bought into him. A lot of them did. They believed him that he was pro closed border and all that. That's a lie. He never voted for anything to be closed border.
Right, but here's the other thing: the Republican Party just laid down and they voted against Carrie Lake. I wonder how many Republicans voted for Gallego because they hated Carrie Lake. They hated Carrie Lake because she accused the man who wanted to hurt her of hurting her. They hated Carrie Lake because she said something true about John McCain.
Well, which was unnecessary, and I faulted Carrie Lake for that, but I didn't vote against her. Well, here's so what? So what? She lost the election. You got to be smart too. She got to be smart
because she had Republicans voting against her.
She slapped these Republicans in the face. She slapped some of them, and she complains that they didn't like it. Okay, and look. I voted for Carrie Lake, and I wanted her to win over Hobbs, and I wanted her to win over Gallego any day in the week. But I think she's foolhardy to keep slapping people in the face and then bitching that they don't vote for her.
You know, that's politics.
Of course it is.
Politics right there.
Of course it is, but it is a non-winning political strategy. It's a non-winning strategy. Right.
When your team is Team Republican that has not a spine, you just made a comment about the communists in New York City empowering other communists.
Sure.
There's another example. The Republican Party in New York, the Grand Old Party, the RNC, they did nothing to campaign against that guy. And that was an easy.
You say nothing. I don't know. We didn't have I don't think we had any good candidates to speak of, but
no, they laid down because they said, and you keep repeating this, well, there's not enough Republicans, so why spend the money in the district?
That happens sometimes. That's fact.
You didn't say that about the guy in LA.
What guy in LA? Oh, Pratt. I don't know that I don't know Republicans gave him a dime. They didn't need to. He ran a solid race without him.
He did that on his own without any Republican help. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, and now
because the Republicans fell. The Republicans wear panties under their pants, and those panties are. Look, we can't go there because there's too many Democrats there. Well, that's what politicking is all about. Donald Trump went into Harlem. And everybody said he was crazy for doing that.
Well,
That's how you win elections.
I don't think he's crazy for doing it. Not at all.
No, I didn't say you said. I said a lot of the Republicans said he was crazy for doing it.
It was the right thing to do. And it got him, because there's territories out there that could be swayed. And look, he got the popular vote because of a lot of that kind of stuff, which is not necessary, but it's very helpful. It's more of a mandate.
When is the deadline for people with mail-in ballots to turn into mail-in ballots?
It's next week. I mean, it's coming up now, but
well, let's put that out there so that a lot of people realize you get that damn ballot in now, or go down in person.
Yeah, well, and that's it. You can go down in person real quick.
But give us the deadline date for the imbeciles that I'm following.
I'm gonna have to look it up. I don't have it written in front of me. But I think it's next week. Let me see. Arrive early. It doesn't say. I'll figure it out. I'm looking at America.
One thing, has Donald Trump not been in the news every single day? Has he not made a presence every single day?
Oh, he has. He has. Good or bad, he's out there. People complaining or praising one way or the other. He's out there every day.
But I ask people. A lot of people don't understand that there's a difference between a state senator and a federal senator, a state congressman and a federal congressman.
Yeah, big difference. One goes to Washington, one goes to Phoenix. Yeah.
But what I'm trying to say is that who is our state senators? Who is our state congressman? They only come out during voting season. They don't make a presence. Nobody even knows who the hell they are.
They're always out there. I mean, they're always in the press, but you're going to read it in the Republican stuff all the time. They're always making noise. But not everyone's listening, and you're not looking to see what the guys are doing up in central Arizona, northern Arizona sometimes.
I think that the Republican Party of all of Congress should have one spokesman that's a congressman, one spokesman that's a senator, and they should have a conference every day to enforce. And that's if the liberal communist media of Arizona will allow it to happen. But still, that is not a deterrence to do anything because their Democrats won't let you.
I would say the Republic is writing on them every day, something every day. They're doing that's what they do.
Well, tell me one thing that the Republican Party has accomplished in the state of Arizona.
I don't have the list in front of me, but I know they've done a lot of.
Name one thing that really stands out there. You can't, can you?
Not offhand.
You're involved. That's what I'm saying.
I can. They've saved the ESA again. That's been a bone of contention with me. Like they continue to battle with the ESA. They've put in a lot of voter reforms. Unfortunately, Hobbs has vetoed most of them, but they're not silent by any means. The processes they go through and the budgets and all that. It's not as easy as just, well, we've got the majority by one. Let's make everything happen. It's not that easy. There's compromise and stuff. And I think they've done a good job, particularly with ESA.
Andy Biggs, have you heard his commercials?
No.
He's the man.
I love him. I do. I like Andy a lot. I've liked Andy. I mean, I've known him since he was president of the Senate.
The Republican Party and GOP in the state of Arizona better get some balls and drag that crazy loon, our governor, out to debate. I want her to debate 4 times. Let her put the idiocy out there.
There will be debates. I don't know. It's not going to be 4, but there's going to be a debate. I'm sure they're on the calendar. But I don't know what I don't know the dates. Oh, and the date for the primary election is July 21st, by the way. So
July 21st.
That's and you have to have it mailed before then. So today's the 16th. You got, it's next week.
If she cowards out and doesn't want to be in the debate, I hope they still have the debate and just put the empty chair there.
I agree with you, but that doesn't always happen. And generally, like it happened in LA, well, when the Republican did so well, or he's not Republican, but Pratt did so well, the other two said, I'm not going to do any more debates. And so they canceled them. That's just chicken. Don't cancel it. Let him go.
Well, if the RNC and the GOP of the state allows it to be canceled, that says something for them, doesn't it?
Well,
they should have they should have the debate and just put an empty chair there, and then ask the empty chair questions. Silence. Okay, Mr. Hobbs, what do you have to say?
I doubt that they were running.
That's how they should do that.
I don't know who was running it. It was probably some independent firm they'd agreed to, and then they'd reneged. Is all. The GOP doesn't control it.
And the GOP should get involved in pushing that.
Yeah.
I mean, what is their purpose?
Oh,
what is the GOP's purpose?
You make it sound like they absolutely do nothing, and I know there's a fight going on every day. That
please tell us
whether you see it or not. Well, I do generally, but I haven't retained it all every day.
The only time you hear about these people is 2 months before an election, and then they promise the earth.
I think we hear about it more, but it's unfair to say it's the only time. Look, I talk to Tim Dunn on a regular basis, whether it's election season, not election season. He calls me regularly, as well as Mike, as Nick,
but Russ,
Pena.
Russ,
what?
You're connected.
But I mean, they call me on air. They call me so that they can be heard on air. Regularly.
Do you have open mic? Do you have open mic for them?
Yes.
Because the average person out there, I'd say you go to your neighbor, they don't know who these people are. You know because you're connected, and that's fine. But the average person doesn't know who they are.
But I do bring them on a lot so that they get a lot of exposure. And Tim Dunn's been good. Like he was calling me every Monday. He was on.
Yes, I heard Tim Dunn. Yes.
As he's writing.
But anyway.
Yeah, but and look, I'll have them a lot more once we become once we get the license back for the on air. But they kind of handcuffed me a little bit over it.
You know what? I'm sorry. I have to remember that.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I have to be.
But we'll get through it, and starting hopefully by fall, we'll have a lot more opportunities. And I could do it right now. I just don't see the sense of it until I know exactly where my future is, where it's going.
Right. Yeah. But I'll tell you, that hole in the day without 560 or whoever takes it up.
Yeah.
That's a pretty big noticeable hole.
Amazing for me too. I don't like it.
Yeah.
We're looking at August, September, and of course that's all with Derek Egerbert's efforts and his work and getting that all done, and his payroll. I mean, his checkbook is getting that all done. He's believing in it, and he's putting the money up.
the Save America app, I follow that, and I still can't make heads or tails out of it. Have they passed it or not?
No.
Do they have the votes or not?
Yes. According to what I've read, they're saying they have it. And it was amazing. I don't know if you saw John Thune, who is like a lurch in personality. He doesn't have much. He was like tearing up on the microphone, yesterday, the day before, talking about Lindsey Graham, and he's going to pass the American Save Act for Lindsey type stuff. Because Lindsey wanted
the American Save Act for us. That's what we should pass the Save Act.
If he gets inspiration from Lindsey, I'm good with it. I'll take it. Something to get him off the dime, and they said they have 50. I don't know how they have 50, and I didn't really look into it. I just said, well, we'll see. Okay, good. I hope you're right. I don't know when that's going to happen, but that's just some of the stuff I've seen that I don't really believe completely. You're not going to get Mitch McConnell. Of course, who knows what Mitch McConnell is right now. No one's really seen him at all. There's a picture of him, but I don't know anything other than that.
I don't know how political family members could go to communist countries and get away with that.
His wife. Well, oh yeah, I know what you mean. Like, should they be listened to by their phone? But his wife is Chinese now. She's born in Taiwan, I think. Taiwan, but she's Chinese,
but she didn't go to Taiwan.
No, she went China. Yeah. She's Chinese.
Do you remember when Nancy Pelosi went to Taiwan?
Yep.
And then her stock skyrocketed right after that.
Nancy Pelosi had a very, very good methodology of picking stocks. Most of it would be illegal if she was in the private sector, but she's not.
Illegal if the sitting politicians would do something about it. That's the thing.
They've talked about, I don't know what they've done, passing some acts or something about blind trust, like you have for the president. The president's not allowed to do any of that. It's got to be in someone else. Someone else got to handle it for you. It's got to be blind. So all the president's investments and everything is in a blind trust. I think his kids are running it. But you don't have to do that if you're in the House and the Senate. Well, you should. You should.
But sir, you have a good day. That's my That's my $10.
I appreciate the $10, man. Thanks, buddy. Bye-bye. Yeah, and good point about July 21st primaries coming up. And if you're going to vote early, you can still do it today and tomorrow for sure. Just go downtown, Main Street, the new building there, and go get that done. That's preferable. We need more in there, and hopefully you take the time. Getting back to the 13 moderate Democrats, as far as what Mike says that they're pandering, there's a high probability of that. But I still find it interesting they had to put it in writing that in the United States of America, they've got to put it in writing that that we believe in capitalism. That's just shocking. Let's take a phone call from Gilbert. Good morning, sir.
Who was that?
That was Mike.
Yes. He gave me my humor for today.
He's
he sure did.
He's laughable.
Yeah, because he's asking all these questions.
Yeah.
Well, if you're engaged like you say that you are, you would already know what our representative has done. You're asking questions, but he didn't have the answer. He didn't have the answer for any of our representatives, what they've done.
Right.
If you're all that engaged, you would know. I used to be well engaged. You know that, Russ. And I knew what they were doing.
Sure.
The reason I knew what they were doing, because I was engaged and I asked questions. I was engaged by going to all these different meetings that they had, functions that they had. That's how we get engaged, by just sounding up. What have they done? What have they done? Well, if you don't know what they've done and you can't answer your own question, what does it say about you?
I don't know. Well, and I'm always interested in what they stand for and what they're going to do. And I guess I've worked with so many of them. I don't remember every detail of every step we've done in the last 10 years.
Exactly. But at least you're engaged. But when someone's asking you, what has this representative done? What has this representative done? You're asking a question that you should know if you're engaged. The way he was coming across is asking you, But what were the answers? What was his answers? What's Tim Dunn doing? What is our representative? What's Pena doing? And all that.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And
yeah, okay.
And I
So
do
that
bring
was
him on
my
the air. I need to do it more though, because
no, I mean, yeah, the fact that he was asking all these questions about what has our representative done. Well, has he ever looked into what they're doing?
Yeah.
That's how you find out. You gotta engage yourself to be able to ask those questions. Anyway, some more humor.
Uh-oh.
Did you know people in California are using meth so they could stay up at night so they could protect themselves? The street people.
Really?
Yeah. Come on, Russ.
That sounds.
You got to get engaged with Mayor Bass. That's what she said yesterday.
Wow.
Sure did. I heard it with my own ears.
She's not supporting that choice, is she?
Oh, no. She's just saying the reason people in the streets are using meth so they can stay up, so they can protect themselves.
How? Well, but that's against her. I mean, she's the mayor. She should not have it that insecure and that unsafe that's what they have to do. Shame on her. Yeah.
Exactly. But the fact that she said that to appease her people, or maybe they need meth, they need to do meth so they can get their teeth fixed, so they can protect themselves.
Yeah. You can.
It's what we're up against, Russ.
Yeah, you can tell the meth addicts real quick by the dental work. Yeah.
Now, dental work and their hair.
Yeah.
And their hair, the frizzy hair. But this is what we're up against. And people are voting for her. They found a way to get a real conservative Republican to run as mayor because of the way they're voting. What's that called? You can vote for two Democrats instead of a Democrat.
Yeah, that jungle primary.
Yeah, jungle primary.
And then they had to get the Democrat that was way behind up to par. So all the lates came in for her. That was so crazy. It almost looks like it was rigged.
Almost looks like it was rigged.
Yeah. It's my opinion.
No, that's an oxymoron.
Almost.
Yeah, but that's what we're dealing with. We're dealing with that everywhere. I mean, look at Newsom. What he all of a sudden he's a gangster of trying to get everything together. Yeah, right. Well, now what I want to see, who are they going to blame for that major water break in Hollywood? You haven't seen it.
I'm gonna have to call the mayor on that. She'll blame somebody other than herself.
They had a major water break in Hollywood, and it's flooding the streets.
Wow, I had not heard that at all.
I just saw it this morning. It was on Fox News.
Wow.
Yep.
It doesn't surprise me. I don't know what they spend their money on, but I have a feeling it's something other than infrastructure.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah. You gotta have crystal meth to operate.
Yeah.
But they asked her about that, and she tried to backslide on her thing about meth, and she sounded worse, or is it's a word worser than when she did the original.
Yeah.
It was.
I don't think she's going to be mayor after all this. I think that this ramen lady that came in, that soared past Pratt all of a sudden when they did the late votes. I think the Democrats want to replace Bass. I think they want to put this girl in. And I think they choose, and then they just make it happen.
Oh yeah, the Democratic Party is still going to be involved in what's the operation, what's going on in L.A.
Yeah,
absolutely. Same with the homeless. They were supposed to have gotten rid of the homeless. Well, they did in San Francisco. For a little bit. Well,
they did it for the soccer matches, and then they come back.
Soccer matches and the Chinese delegation that came in.
Yeah, they clean it up for a day and they hose it down. They get the water cannons in there. But
so They got themselves a big problem, and I believe they don't know how to handle it. They put a Band-Aid on a big wound.
I think they do know how to handle it. I think they know the answers. But that it doesn't fit their ideology, so they're not going to. I just think they put up with it, embrace it because it's opposite of what Republicans want to do.
Right, but what I'm getting at is, how are they going to handle all that homeless? Where are they going to put those people at? They're just going to move them somewhere else?
That's all they've done. That's all they've done.
Well, I know that.
But their answer is, and Spencer Pratt talks about this too. Their answer is, "Oh, we'll just go build homes." Well, that's never the answer because that's not their problem. And Pratt was very good about it. He says, they're drug addicts. They need help. You could build them a house. It's not going to make them not homeless. Because they've still got the problems. They've got all the issues. We've got these guys walking around with mental problems or drug addictions, and we call them homeless. They need a house. No, they don't need a house. That's just a symptom of their condition.
I remember, I think it was the early 70s. I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure early 70s, middle 70s, they shut down all the nut houses.
Yeah, they did.
That's a bad term.
Kick them to the street, man.
Yeah. And I remember because I lived in San Jose and I came to visit my mom's. Yeah. And I was down Santa Clara Street. And, remember, I used to go to San Jose every summer from 1963 to 1970 to visit my mom.
Okay.
And there was a guy with a top hat blowing a whistle. And he was just pounding his cane just pounding and running around, in circles and stuff. And I'm looking.
Did I lose you? All right, Gilbert. You left me in the middle with a whistle with a top hat. You back?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I couldn't hear you for a little bit. Yeah. What happened afterwards?
Oh, okay. Anyway, he was just pounding it, and he started laughing. And then I was at a price store, and this big black brother. I mean, he was humongous, purple black. He was humongous. He came up looking at me, and I had my weapon with me. So I wasn't really afraid. All of a sudden, he rushed my car, and I'm thinking, oh, my God, what am I going to do? And he stopped, and he started laughing at me, pointing at me. And he backed away, dancing. He started dancing. So all these Looney Tunes were left out.
Yeah, you miss those days, don't you?
Oh, yeah. There's some crazy days. Anyway, and I want to remind everybody this coming Saturday, July 18th, at Izzy's Diners, we are having a meeting for all conservatives to come together. We have an open mic.
Yeah.
Bring your thoughts on current events and political candidates and save the state of Arizona. We have to get together. We got to push the narrative about voting. I mean, I'm seeing all these percentages of ballots that were sent out and how many come in with them. Yeah. And Yuma's at 9 point something. That's terrible.
I don't know what it is now, but in the primary and the off season, historically, we kind of suck. Unfortunately,
well,
it's important.
Yeah, it is unfortunately that we accept that.
Oh,
we're accepting. That's what happened.
Well, nobody's accepting. Everybody's working on, like, including you, including the Republican Party, and making calls and flyers, knocking on doors. I mean, there's a lot of activity. The results are hard to come by, but yeah.
No, Uncle Russ, as Danny would call you. I'm not talking about the guys that are out there working. I'm talking about the population that's not voting.
Right.
That's who I'm talking about. I'm talking about those guys that don't want to make the effort to save our country. I mean, all those people in New York, in New Jersey, and parts of California, and lots of Oregon and Washington, they are getting fed by communists. And the young kids are accepting this.
Yep.
They're accepting the socialists, but they were brainwashed. Our schools brainwashed these kids to accept and embrace handouts. That's what's happened.
Well, the Italians aren't accepted anymore. Mandami's no longer supported by the Italians.
Well, that's one, but we need the rest of them. We need the rest of them.
One group at a time. One group at a time.
One group at a time.
But yeah, he really made the Italians mad there in Little Italy. took them off the list.
Didn't he cancel Columbus Day?
Yeah.
Well, that's a good one. That's good. But seriously, Russ, do you believe that I'm right that our colleges has educated the young to embrace handouts, to believe that they are owed all these handouts?
It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing to see college representatives sometimes at these hearings and things to see what they believe in, and they believe. I mean, they're so DEI. They're so liberal. They're so anti-Trump, founding fathers, anti all of it. That it's just embarrassing, and there needs to be a stop to it. I've been watching a few congressional hearings.
Did you see that hearing the other day where this professor, I believe it was a professor, couldn't answer the question that can a transgender get pregnant?
Well, not only that, he was the dean of a medical school.
Yeah, he's a dean. And
he wouldn't answer it because they have transgender students and they got to protect them.
Exactly.
So that means we're going to change biology for that. We're going to not talk truth.
Yeah. All I'm asking you, can a transgender become pregnant? Transgender man become pregnant?
I think the way we say it was, can a biological woman be pregnant?
Yeah.
No, try biological man be pregnant or something. Yeah. But they won't answer. They won't answer it because, and some of them say it's because, it's against state and federal law for me to answer that question or something. That's just like insane.
Why is it? It's not against the law. It's against their paycheck.
Well, they think it's derogatory or that it's racist or homophobic or something to answer that question, or transgender phobic if there's such a thing. So they've compromised science to fit a narrative of this fantasy.
I like to see. I am a Republican. I'm a more conservative than I am Republican. Okay. But I like to see the GOP start putting ads out there to showcase how many vetoes our governor has done. To hurt Arizona.
There haven't been commercials, but there's been enough writings about it. There's been enough stuff on Facebook and social media and everything. I think she's broken all records for at least the state of Arizona.
She has.
Yeah.
But she's broken the record across the United States. Yeah. That's what they're saying.
But that doesn't make her unpopular in her echo chamber. Her echo chamber, she's a hero for vetoing everything because it's all Republicans that are putting it forward. So she's a hero.
And the thing is, they have more money than we do because they're getting a lot of out of country donations and they're filtering it in.
Yeah. That hasn't been completely documented, but you're right. There's been a lot of that suggested. And some of it has been traced. Some of it they know, but there's a feeling it's more widespread than what we can prove.
Because all the channels, just like our U.S. aid, look how much money was spent everywhere, but where it's supposed to have been spent.
Well, U.S. aid was off the rails, man.
Yeah, but it was because it was untraceable for a long time because people weren't wanting to trace it. They were saddleback in their job, getting their $80,000, $90,000 job, sitting down doing absolutely nada.
Well, there's a lot of that in NGOs and stuff where there's a lot of grant money goes out for research.
Exactly.
And it goes out to a bunch of people that are political operatives that really don't do anything except donate back to the party.
Right. And it's, to me, this midterm is the most important midterm of all times.
It seems to keep escalating, doesn't it? Like the rationale to make sure we vote has become greater and greater because the threat becomes greater and greater. And the threats become more obvious though, Gilbert. They're now saying things out loud they would never say out loud. They're not hiding it.
They're not. And First Amendment allows you to do that.
Well, it allows you to say it out loud, but they've always hidden it. Look, Gallego didn't say out loud who he really was. He didn't talk about what he was. He talked about what he thought everybody wanted to hear. But now they got this socialist, that says we want to do away with the executive branch. We want to do away with the Senate. We want to do away with the judicial. The Congress, one group of Congress only will pick the judicial, pick the executive. We'll run 100% of everything, just like a dictatorship, but not really a dictatorship because we're a socialist. Okay. Yeah,
right. Well, there was 3 college kids the other day that they were interviewing that they want to get rid of the president, not President Trump, but the presidency.
Well, correct. That's what I mean. The executive branch. Yeah. Get rid of it. Although they would appoint much like other countries will have a parliament appoint a prime minister or something.
Right. Different titles, same thing.
Well, but they have no power. They would appoint somebody that's strictly a figurehead.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. But the bottom line is the Democrats are pushing the narrative that you young people, you need to be taken care of. You can't take care of yourselves because you don't have the ability. So elect us, and we'll keep on funding your wages.
And they can be had because they've been living in the school districts, the school systems that have screwed them up for the last decades. And so these kids don't have a reality of the founding fathers of freedom and liberty versus communism and Marxism. And a lot of them would vote for Marxism and communism. According to polls, they show a great percentage of these millennials, not the millennials, the X's, the new guys will they'll vote communist. The newest generation.
Now, the bottom line,
and they think murdering assassination of the president would be okay. It's just kind of weird. It's like they've all become communist. And they're like the Iranian Guard right now, that they would shoot protesters and the president.
50,000
for the better good. They've called him Hitler enough. They think, well, everybody would kill Hitler if they could. So the president's no different. He's Hitler. It's dangerous. It's insane. And it's been spooled up by this ideology of the left that is just going to hate and anger. And that's how they keep their base going.
You're absolutely right. And I'm saying I would say the 90s, the kids from the 90s, I'm talking from grade school up to where we are at today, those were the ones that were propagandaed a lot.
Yeah.
And those kids, I'm talking about the 90s, now they are in the colleges and they are graduating, yada, yada, yada. So that's who we're dealing with. So they had 90s till now. How many years is that to have them all propaganded?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah,
we did, and I include myself in it. Didn't see the full dangers that we were in front of, and see the outcome. The person that did the most was Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk saw it, and he went right to the campuses to start talking truth, and he became so popular they had to kill him. And it's just amazing.
When my kids were in school, they brought me some of the stuff, and I was okay with a lot of it. But then my grandkids, and I'm starting to read their stuff, I'm going, no, this is not the way it was. Yeah. So way back when, I was already questioning what was going on.
Right.
So those kids from the 90s, the grade schoolers, they're in the workforce now. But they don't want to work.
We need more homeschooling. We need more ESA. We need more conservatives on school boards that just say no. We're not going to corrupt these kids, and we're getting a little bit of that here and there. I mean, there's so much more work to be done, and that's why what you're doing is so important. But there's a lot more.
We've come a long ways. I know in District 1, we got a great team in District 1. Yeah. I know that.
Right. And we've got great teams of homeschoolers, and Tanya Wright's really opened me up to what all they're doing, and she's been leading a charge statewide on a lot of that stuff. On making sure that these homeschoolers are very successful and they do well and how to network and all that stuff. And I would put my kids in homeschool now, seeing what I've seen and all that, and they did great. And my son went to high school in Yuma High, and of course my daughter at the Yuma Catholic High School. Great choices for both of them at the time. Yeah. But right now it's changed.
I'm class of '69. My dad was class of '43. And my kids were 88 and 92.
Yeah.
So I got lost. But as I leave your show right now, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to know what your representative is doing, you need to look for yourself. Look for yourself. Don't rely on somebody to tell you what they're doing. I know it's boring. I know it's boring, and I know the whereas and the those and the theses is confusing. It really is. They do that for a reason. So, like Mad Mike was talking about, asking all these questions, you got to ask yourself, what are my representatives are doing? Are they doing what they promised to do? And that goes to the local level, to the county level, and to the state level, Russ.
Yeah.
It's important to be engaged. I've done my share. I enjoyed it. Right now, Carla and I are kicking back, relaxing, but I still have time to call your show and bug you.
Thank you, buddy. Appreciate it, man.
Later.
Bye. Where was I? I was on 13 Democrats, which I want to finish up with a little bit. They're the ones that the pledge. Their pledge under growth, competition, and broad prosperity, which is just wonderful. They put this out, but it's what we should be taking for granted for all of them. But it says we are capitalists, not socialists. They call for an economy that rewards hard work, lower costs, expands opportunity, rather than favoring those at the top. Now, these are people in the Democrat Party that stand for none of that from what I've seen from their actions. But they claim they're Democrat and they're going to stay Democrat. And I'm still going to take the time to get another phone call. Mike, how are you, buddy?
Mad Mike to you.
Mad Mike. Right. What's up?
Distinguish me from Angry Mike.
Well, you called on a different phone number. It doesn't say Mad in front. I'll change that.
Oh, yeah, you gotta. I got two of them to keep all these apps separate.
All right.
I mean, when you're doing DoorDash, Uber Eats, Grubhub, Spark deliveries, Roadie, Home Depot, and Lowe's deliveries, and then you got them all open at once on a Sunday because you got nothing else better to do.
Right.
It helps to keep things organized. All right. So, anyways, dude, Angry Mike is so freaking angry all the time, and maybe that's his entertainment value.
Maybe, but I don't disagree with a lot of his conclusions, but he is so one way with it. It's my way, the highway. If you don't believe me, you should be killed. It's just a kind of like aggressive, abrasive attitude, that
I don't know that he would advocate for death.
No, but that was just an example. I mean, just the way I feel like he's just so one-sided that you either believe me or you're not a Republican,
Right.
He's not a big tent guy. Everyone's got to be hardline 100% or you're out. But it's not that I disagree with a lot of his observations of things that I find deplorable and terrible. And I agree. I think the socialism thing is terrible and all that. I fall short of like if I knew anybody that was like that, I would never talk to them. I'd out. I wouldn't go in the room with them. I think Mad Mike, that's how we eventually get people to understand reality, is to talk to him. He's not much on the conversation. He's not.
No, he's not much on compromise either.
No.
Or
no.
Accepting a little bit because it's getting you down the road in the direction you want to go.
Yeah.
It's like you say, it's all in.
But he's a hammer all the way, man. I mean, and if you only carry a hammer, everything starts looking like a nail.
Absolutely. Yep. I'm good with those platitudes too. There's some good ones out there.
Yeah.
What's the other word for not platitudes? They call them.
I don't know.
I don't know. Anyways, I tried to get in right after him, but man, your phone lines have been lit up.
Well, that it just means people have things to say, man. That's all.
Yep, and things to answer and counter. And the one thing you got to admire about dude is that he knows what he believes, he likes what he likes, and he's committed to it.
Right.
So I can support all of that.
Right, and he's grounded into right philosophies of founding father philosophies and all that kind of stuff. Absolutely, but you can't beat people into submission. That's all.
Well, I'll let you know I've been broadening your listener base. I've been walking around all Walmart shopping, waiting for my turn to call in, listening to you.
Well, do it on a loudspeaker. All right, buddy.
Yeah. All right, I'll let you go.
Thank
Get
you.
back.
Thank you, sir.
To the shop.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye.
As Mad Mike. Yeah, I changed it now because he's got more than one phone number, so I won't make that mistake again. He wants to be Mad Mike. The 13 Democrats. The other thing they stand for, the safety, security, and human dignity. We want safety, not lawlessness. He wants secure borders. It's from the Democrats. Orderly immigration in safe communities. The opposite of what their comrades are doing. I say comrades. That was chosen on purpose. Comrades are doing in the Democrat Party. And again, not Mad Mike, the other Mike, thinks that these 13 are probably just pandering for the election, and that's possible. We are responsible, not reckless. Competent government to free speech and modern. We are mainstream, not extreme. Confident patriotism. Look at that. A Democrat that says patriotism. We are proud, not ashamed of America. And how many Democrats do we have right now that see the American flag and are revolted by it? They won't do it, won't celebrate the 4th of July Independence Day. Many that are openly talking about it. It's kind of good because they're telling the truth. They're fine, they feel the courage to be open about it because it's not going to hurt them. They feel I can be open about it now because my party will embrace me, except for these 13, maybe. This article goes on, is it a rift in the Democrat Party? I think so. There's always going to be different ideas in every party, in Republican Party, Democrat Party. And of course, we got the MAGA conservatives in right now in the Republican Party. And then you've got I don't know what do they call the other side, like the Mike Pence guys, but the squishies. You got the MAGA guys and the squishies, I guess. It talks about it. It says, well, there's always been different. Well, you've had the blue dog Democrats, and you've always had different opinions and regional and statewide and stuff, and a little bit. But it's become more over the years. The tolerance of different thinking has been less and less on each party. The parties have people in the Senate and House, they call themselves whips, that have to whip everybody in to make sure that they get the votes passed to pass bills that are concerned for Republican or Democrat. And little by little, not a lot of tolerance for people outside mainstream on either party, really. And it's frustrating right now. You can't get the SAVE Act back because of a few Republicans and holdouts. And zero Democrats. Zero. I mean, crossing the aisle now and having bipartisanship is become very rare, not very common like it used to be. But standing up against these guys that just went through this pledge, the Democrat Socialist, which are becoming more popular, at least social media wise and everything, not more elected officials yet. They're for Medicare for all, new Green Deal, tax the wealthy, defunding, or reimaging the police. We're reimaging, like we're going to call them police, but they won't be carrying a gun or license to be an officer. More like sociologists or something. It's funny, they include in these DSA members, the Democrat Socialists of America, Alexandria Cortez. Now, a lot of the Democrat Socialists of America throw Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez because she's not hardline enough, which I found interesting. The 13 that have signed, and this, some of the things I was listening to earlier on some of the newscasters and stuff talking about this, they feel there's going to be more. There's going to be more than 13. Mike that called in this morning might be right that this is just a ploy to get elected. And afterwards, they're going to kind of disappear anyway. I mean, disappear these pledges. But there's others that think, well, this is a movement that's probably going to get a foothold and do something. The 13 was at, or some of the people in the 13 were asked by reporters, well, doesn't that make you a Republican? No, we're not Republican. We're solid Democrats, and we're going to stay Democrats. We're just patriot Democrats and believe in these issues. Well, that's kind of hard to believe completely when you don't see those 13 voting against the party on things that are obvious, supportive of the promises that they just pledged to keep. You don't see it. The only one I see crossing the aisle with any kind of real common sense and ideology that's straight in his head is Fetterman, the guy that started off as a brain damaged senator, and it healed. and he's not a Republican. He's not. He's a Democrat and committed to it. But quite often he doesn't believe in that. Join the party because that's what it is. He's going to do what he thinks is right for Pennsylvania and all. And that's a frustration to parties. And it's a frustration to John Thune right now that we've got Republicans that don't believe in the SAVE Act. And it's a frustration to me. I just don't get it. I don't know why Mitch McConnell doesn't. They don't explain it. I don't get why Susan Collins was against it. And I understand she's the one that may have switched up on that. Murkowski, and they won't talk about it. They don't give a listing of why. It's just, that's what it is. I'm a senator. Shut up. Unfortunately, that's just the way it goes. Arizona, new law. I think it just got signed. This article was before it was signed, but this is a law about distracted driving. Do you know what distracted driving is? I don't know. I mean, it's not. The number one thing when you say distracted driving, the only thing you think of is phone. I don't know if you're eating a 3-course meal going down the road and have ketchup in the one area and your soda and then your French fries and hamburger over here. I think that's distracted driving. It should be. Or if you're doing makeup, looking not in the rear view, but you have your visor down and you're doing makeup. I have never done that, by the way. I don't do makeup, but I've seen it done. Amazing. We used to have friends in Denver. A friend of mine, Tom, he was working at Napa Corporate. When I worked at Napa Corporate, he was he managed all the local stores. Tom did a great job. His wife would drive the car and breastfeed at the same time. Distracted driving. Yeah. No, I would not be in the car, but my wife would sometimes. They'd go together. My wife at the time would go with her, and she said, "You won't believe it." I said, "No, it doesn't sound right. Doesn't a seatbelt get in the way?" Oh, no, she takes that off and breastfeeds in traffic. Amazing. I think that's distracted. I'm not sure if it's written up as such, but I would have considered it. Distracted driving, they according to this article, led to 66 deaths in Arizona in 2024. There is a representative in the state of Arizona, Teresa Martinez, who wants to increase. That's already against the law. Distracted driving. If you have your phone and stuff out and you're talking on your phone, and I'm not talking hands free. Hands free is legal. Yeah, it's and I do everything hands free. I mean, I have a headset that I wear all the time. It doesn't go in my ears. It's one of the bone thing. It goes, and I hear better with it. I've got some hearing issues. I wear hearing aids sometimes when I want to. I wear hearing aids, but this thing makes me hear better. Because I hear it through the vibration. It goes right into the bone, and mine. And there's a lot of different types out there that do that. Mine happens to have a mic on it that comes around towards the front of my face where my mouth is. Which, when I use it, people don't know I'm on that device. They think I'm on a regular phone in an office or something. I could be walking through stores and things, just trying to. I'm getting work done at the same time. I'm picking up things for the shop during the day or whatever, and that they can't tell the difference. I mean, it's just amazing technology. It's good, and I'll tell you, I've said this before. My partner, Chris Moorhead, who's very stuck in everything I've done, I'm not changing type kind of guy. He doesn't change easily. It's fine. It's okay. He used to make fun of me, called me all types of gay and everything for wearing it. Said it looks terrible. He cares about the looks, I guess. I didn't care. One day I asked him to put it on, just try it. So he went out into our shop where everybody's working on cars, hammers, wrenches, power tools, lifts, everything going on out there. And I'm talking to him, and he can walk under a car, answer questions, both hands free. And it doesn't even sound like he's on a remote device at all or a Bluetooth. It sounds. He came back into the office, wouldn't talk to me, went over to his computer, ordered one. Right then, ordered it after making fun of me for a year at least. Yeah, so the hands free are very helpful, convenient, and safer when you're driving. By the way, safer when you're driving. Well, this Teresa Martinez wants to help out by making the fines more for repeated offenses. So if you get caught distracted driving for the second time, she wants to raise the offense to $400. Third offense, it would allow the judge to suspend driver's licenses. It doesn't say it's mandatory; it says allow it, and it would also. It says under the new law, an additional 150 penalty can be added for phone-related crashes too. So if it's a distracted driving, it has to do with a phone-related crash. Oh, involving motorcycles. Well, see, Gilbert would be happy about that. He's a motorcycle guy. He's a member of a BATE, which is about motorcycle safety, making sure people stay safe and aware. When you're on a motorcycle, there's a whole new layer of defensive driving because people don't see you. They don't see you, and you got to know that if you're on a motorcycle, that they don't see you. Act accordingly. You're invisible. Unlike a motorhome, when I first started driving a motorhome, I was amazed. Nobody would cut you off. I mean, it's like they stay away from you. Motorcycles, they don't see you. They pull right into you. You got to be careful. This talks about people are more interested in their phone than safety, even when they're doing 70 mile an hour. True. Seen it. And I'll pick up my phone when I'm driving to hit a button to turn on my headset or something. But Helen, my wife, is cautious, and she reminds me that don't do that. I understand that. And good for her. Martina says you don't know who's going to get in an accident behind you. Why? Because you're on a phone texting, driving. People live live video stream themselves, make videos of themselves. They do, I guess, selfies and everything. You see that. While they're driving, they're not paying attention to the road. I guess they're on YouTube doing that stuff. Proposed bill, first offense, distracted driving, 75 to 109 for the first offense. We already said second offense up to $400. I don't know how many that stops or not. Everyone thinks they're not going to get caught. She said that make the first offense lighter, give people a second chance. Let's give them a second. Well, they don't get a second chance with drunk driving. The first offense is pretty harsh. Martinez has a special reason for doing this. Her son was almost killed. He broke his entire face because a man didn't yield the right of way, didn't see him, just blew through a stop sign. I get the impression he was on a motorcycle because this comes as she's mentioning motorcycle. Third offense, driver's license could be taken away. Now, her doing this, putting this in, she got praised by the local motorcycle groups and attorneys who deal with crashes. Mike Deegan, Executive Director of Arizona Motorcycle Safety and Awareness Foundation, echoed the thought. We hope the higher fines get people's attention because right now there's nothing to stop them to slow down. We've got to do something. It's a start. The new law also builds upon previous distraction drivers to ban drivers from live streaming or recording videos, even if the driver isn't physically holding the device. Lawmakers and advocates hope these changes in law lead to changes in road safety. The next milestone is enforcement. I don't think that's going to be a problem. Apparently, this was bipartisan. which is rare. We don't get a lot of bipartisan stuff out there, but we did on that one. There's a Marine retired that's running for Congress, which I applaud. We have a lot of good military members that go into politics and stuff. In Florida, this military member, maybe not so much. He's getting some backlash and pushback for his promises and the way he's running for office. His name is William Upham. He says, we are led by a president who is the enemy of God. Then he cites some Bible passages and discuss the oath he took as a Marine officer to defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. There is no doubt Trump is the Antichrist. That's a pretty big charge. I don't know if he can prove it. And this is all on video. This isn't something he said that's being repeated. This is video. You can watch him saying it. He asked his viewers to question whether they are worshiping a false idol. President Trump is the Antichrist, and he will be killed and sent to hell. God will prevail against evil. Yeah, he's a Marine. He's a write-in candidate for the Florida's 5th congressional district. Describes himself on X now as a prosecutor running to fix a broken political system. He's entered the race to restore bipartisanship, return power to the working class, and fix our broken political system. I don't see him being bipartisan. I don't even know if the old school Republicans that don't consider themselves MAGA would embrace this kind of thing. As far as the Marine Corps goes, and this surprised me, but the Marine Corps came out and condemned him. Yeah, I would think generally they don't get involved in the politics, but I think this goes beyond it. This goes beyond the politics. They point out that he was medically discharged. I think that's also odd, isn't it? If you get medically discharged, does the Marine Corps tell people maybe? I guess that's not their medical records. It's just a record of their service, their ending of their service, I guess. He said the Marine Corps put this on X, by the way. The Marine Corps is aware of the disturbing statement made by William Upham. The comments made by Upham are a direct violation of the oath he swore to uphold and are not in keeping with the service's values. Of course, he's discharged. He's not there anymore. As far as the Secret Service goes, you think that they'd get interested. They did. Spokesperson for the Secret Service says the U.S. Secret Service is aware of the comments made by the congressional candidate in Florida, and we investigate anything that can be perceived as a threat towards one of our protectees. Out of concern for operational security, we do not discuss matters of protective intelligence. That's fair. Well, then the acting Navy secretary even got involved in this one. So I would say this is a big pushback. I don't know if that's good for him or not. They say that any time you get mentioned is good. I don't think getting mentioned in this is good for a candidate, particularly a write-in at this point. Hung Cho, the Navy secretary, unacceptable. William Upham is no longer a Marine and does not represent our values or ethos. So there we go. We got the Marines getting involved in the politics. Not really. They have distanced themselves from this clown. He says Trump's the Antichrist. I don't know. Is that worse than Hitler? I don't know. This is pretty aggressive. This is scary. I mean, this is a scary guy rocking around. And the fact that he got medically discharged, you wonder, was it a physical thing? Or was he going a little nuts? Don't know. They're not saying. I have my guess now. I would guess it was not physical. Of course, we don't know. I'm going to talk about Iran for a little bit. Let me see. I got a couple messages here. Sandy, God bless Sandy. She's very helpful and informational. When she sends me videos to watch while I'm on air, of course I can't, and I'll look at them later. They're always there. Sometimes she sends me more stuff than what I generally read just to do the show, which is helpful. I can't get to all of it all the time, but I appreciate her. Iran is drawing a red line. It sounds odd. I don't know if you've been listening and paying attention to what's going on recently. Now, everybody, I think, listens during the first weeks of these kind of things, wondering where it's going to go. And then you kind of get like, it's old hat. This thing's been going on so long. I don't know. Has it been 3-4 months now? It's kind of like the Iran, Russia. I mean, I'd watch it. I was watching stuff every day, just amazed at what was going on. Amazed that Ukraine and Russia. Amazed that Ukraine still existed after 3 days. And then how are they doing it? And whose fault is it? Is Russia that bad, or has Ukraine become that good? But sidebar. Let me talk Sandy. She's calling. Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning. You gave me the perfect lead-in.
Okay.
And I think the answer will be no, and I know you'll explain it. I was just wondering with these videos, like there's a really good, probably made by AI video I sent you from TikTok on Save America Act, has Jane Fonda and a bunch of other people in it. And I was just wondering, if you had a laptop computer, would you be allowed to show the video? Like you'd have to have your camera on your laptop and show the video, or would YouTube say, no, you can't do that?
I can always show laptops. I mean, I can show videos as a reference if I'm making it, some comments and I want to show a clip of it or something. I generally can't do the entirety like that, but it's pretty easy to get clips and get parts of it, the part that you need to. So I probably could. As far as putting it on my laptop, I know I could do the audio real easy. I'm sure I can do it because I have a program called StreamYard that actually has a lot of features I don't even use. So I probably could. I'd have to do it, but I'd have to edit it a little bit, and I can't show it its entirety, and I'd have to do something I find of interest to talk about so I could show references. Did I lose? Oh, I lost you. Hold on a minute. Sandy, for some reason, no, hold on. My Bluetooth kicked out the podcast. No, wait a minute. No, I'm not there. In fact, let me take a break and I'll call you back. All right, bye-bye. Something happened to my phone that kicked off my Bluetooth connection to the Rodecaster, which I use. So I kept talking, and I guess Sandy was talking at the same time. I was wondering what that noise was. I didn't know it though. Let me take a break, and I got to fix this. I'll be right back.
Good morning again.
Good morning, Sandy. I had to reboot my system because I couldn't get that
Okay.
Bluetooth back on, but I'm glad you called. And the answer, you got the answer, was yes. I could probably do that in a clip.
Cool.
Yeah.
It's just some would be really good.
Yeah.
And I have what I think is kind of sad news, because one of your previous callers was talking about it. Yesterday, I watched a video with Speaker Johnson and Vice President J.D. Vance. They come out from a meeting with the Republicans in the House, and one of the reporters asked J.D. Vance, this SAVE Act won't affect the midterm elections. And I think people need to know that, because J.D. Vance didn't say, no, you're wrong. He instead said, but it needs to be passed to help make future elections legitimate. It's not his words, my words, legitimate.
And I wonder about that too. And maybe not. It depends on the states, depends on a lot of stuff. But the DOJ is asking right now, they've asked every state to show their plan on how to make sure that non-citizens do not vote in federal part of the elections for the upcoming election. They had 5 days to do that. That was a couple of days ago. So there is pressure.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
so that's happy news. Thank you.
Okay, I wanted to brighten your day a little bit. I don't know how much effect that all is going to have, but it puts people on notice that it is already against the law to vote if you're not a citizen in federal elections, for sure. And that's been put out there, but these states are not separating because they don't even ask if you're a citizen. How do they know?
Well, they don't want to be cooperative.
No.
And they don't want to be constitutional.
No.
And it's basically just following our Constitution.
Well,
and I'm just glad that due to reconciliation, they might actually get this Save America Act through.
That possibility still lingers, but it frustrates me because it lingers and they haven't done it yet.
Well, and such a high percentage of the American population, both Democrats, Republicans, and I'll add independents, want voter ID. So I don't know why our guys didn't get on it sooner, so it could have affected the midterms. It's almost like a little stupid, Gene.
Well,
but we know for sure Lindsey Graham's sister is going to vote for it.
Yes.
So we have that vote. And I think if they have 50 votes and then J.D. Vance becomes 51, they'll get it. But I forgot the name. What's the name of the office, the person that sometimes says, oh, you can't include that in a Reconciliation Act? Parliamentarian.
Yeah.
I was trying to remember that yesterday.
Yeah.
I don't know if she'll stop it. I hope not. I hope it gets through. And the Democrats will probably be really pleased that it didn't make it through, if what the reporter was saying is true.
Yeah.
But I've noticed the states don't necessarily cooperate, even if it's DOJ.
Oh, correct.
So,
not initially, but then they withhold funds. They do all kinds of stuff from the feds. And they seem to not care about that. Right now, a lot of funds are being withheld from Medicaid and other things that they're not turning over records on or not helping with fraud. And they've cut a lot of that stuff off. And some of the states are not even, complaining about it, I guess. But amazingly, when they cut off these people for fraud, they don't hear back from the actual recipients of the money. Like, there's silence because they know it's fraud, I guess.
Right. Well, there was another great video. I'm not positive if I shared it with you, but Nick Shirley was testifying either yesterday or the day before.
Yeah.
Regarding fraud and his investigation. And he pointed out how government officials hadn't taken care of this issue. And it took someone like himself to bring it up. And now there's a lot of fraud investigations going on, and they're catching a lot of people.
Yep.
And, that's one young man, I don't know his age, who's made a big difference in this country.
It's like 22, 23, something like that.
Right. And all he did is, like an older man, said, hey, this is going on. Will you come? I keep trying to ask for help. And Nick Shirley goes right there.
Yeah, he was a whistleblower up in Minnesota. and he'd been screaming and screaming. Nobody hears him. Like that forest that falls in the woods. And Nick Shirley comes along and puts it on YouTube, and it goes viral throughout the country.
Right. I don't know how the man knew to choose him, but gosh, that old guy was smart too.
Well, he had all the details. So. Nick Shirley's reading his notes to people. Like, according to this, you've taken in $2 million and all this kind of stuff. I mean, and it's the old guy that led him into some of it. I think Nick was already doing some investigations. I don't know how they hooked up, but I'm glad they found each other. And Nick really got spooled up, and now he's all over the place, man. He's different states. He's in California.
And he gives that older man credit. He did from the beginning.
Yeah, he does.
So he's just such an awesome young man. And it is amazing. There's so many fraud investigations now. I just wonder where any money collected goes. Does it go into a general fund? For the federal government? I'm assuming it's the federal government gets it. I don't know. Maybe it's the state government that gets it.
I know how they can get rid of the fraud immediately. If the U.S. government said, we like so much what Nick Shirley's doing, we will give any private investigator 10% of the savings if you find the fraud for us and it's convicted and we collect. And
that does sound good.
Oh, I think there'd be it would be overnight. There would be thousands of tens of thousands of people on that. I mean, the fraud would clear up immediately, knowing there's that many people looking.
Right, and there's really good investigators out, but in California, they're really going after Nick Shirley and even trying to pass a law.
Yeah, they call it the Nick Shirley Act. Yeah.
It's just anyway. There's just so much stuff in the media, and some of it's very positive, just absolutely beautiful videos. But I realize that your show is kind of jam packed anyway. But I just thought that would be kind of cool if you could include something like that. And then I thought, I bet he can't. But I'm going to ask anyway.
I could do that legally, because it's done all the time, particularly on social media and everything. I can do that.
But it is another time consumer.
No, I don't care. I'll have somebody else do it for me.
And
I need interns. That's what I need. Is some interns.
Really short.
Yeah.
Say again.
I need interns. I'll get some interns to know how to do that stuff.
Oh yeah, you need to get a staff.
Well, yeah.
There's got to be. You might even ask the Republican Party if they have somebody they want to, some volunteer from the, be a volunteer person from the Republican Party.
Correct. What I'd
like
really
to come and help out.
There's so many younger people that want to get involved in social media and doing broadcasts or presentations and stuff. I'd be glad to have some of those come on. And I've had over the years lots of people do it. Tanya Wright was with me for a while, a lady named Veronica, Johnny Porter, who ended up, doing his own things. And I've had, so many volunteers, Dean Weingarten come in, recently it was Mel in years past. I've had so many, but I haven't really reached out to a lot of younger interns to, help be part of the show. Some that want to learn speaking, learn how to handle themselves and get some experience.
It'd be good for them. And if you found someone, some people are very creative.
Sure.
They're finding that of all, who would have thought, but it's the conservatives that are the super creative, humor oriented, information oriented people, and the liberals just suck.
Yes.
So if you get a young kid that's really creative and you can also teach them the other things, just imagine, maybe you'll create the future Charlie Kirk. Who knows?
It'd be great. I'd love to have someone like that. Come on, Charlie Kirk or something, type young person. And Charlie Kirk got discovered when he was like 18. He was out hitting it at 18. Believe it or not, that's when Edward knew him and had spent time with him and actually helped finance some of his stuff early on, along with some other.
That was nice to hear that yesterday.
Yeah, I talked to him right after Charlie Kirk's passing, and I didn't even know he knew Charlie Kirk at the time. And he called to tell me what a great guy he was, and he had dinner with him not too long before that, him and his wife, and Charlie and his wife, and very quickly said, we don't talk politics and stuff. He just reminded him that he is a family guy. and they go out
Right.
because they enjoyed being with each other and saying hello. And he was like that with a lot of very powerful, wonderful people, and he had a lot of support early on to grow that business and made Turning Point something huge.
Well, you know what was really good, and I don't know if he met with Dennis Prager or not, or but other people like Edward.
Mhm.
At age 18, older people were willing to tell him that you need to learn more, and he listened,
Yeah.
and he went out and learned more, and that was an 18-year-old young kid when you think about it. And so he grew into someone who had and then he'd go back to these older people advisors and talk to them more to see if he was really ready to do what he wanted to do. So to me, it's just an outstanding story. I didn't know the story, and I didn't know about Edward until yesterday.
I didn't find out until after he was actually shot. I didn't know.
Right.
There's a lot about Edward I don't know. I only know what he wants me to know.
Well, that's probably better. It's better for you and better
Keeps
for
me
Edward.
safe,
You never
probably.
know.
It does.
I'm just being ornery again.
No, it's probably true, though.
Anyway, I just thought that would be kind of cool. And yeah, getting an intern that could come up and put some of these, and some of the videos are so short, you could show the whole video. Some of them you probably want to cut down. Some are very patriotic.
Yeah.
Some are very humorous. And a creative kid could do way better job than me, because I'm just sharing what others share with me.
Since
like stuff I see on Truth Social, I'm not very creative.
Oh, some of that artificial intelligence stuff's hilarious. Baby Trump stuff, I love it.
Yes, and that TikTok, don't miss that one. It shows Jane Fonda. That is so well done, and incorporates and shows how bad the thinking is of Democrats. Like, she's talking and saying Democrats can't get voter ID. So you have these 3 black guys come out and say, hey, we always have our voter ID ready in case we're going to, I think they're saying in case they got arrested, but I'm not sure. And it's just so hilarious and goes on. You'll just have to see the whole thing. And it is just great. I hope people, if they're hearing my voice, if you like humor and like information, that would be a good one to go to. And you would see it I know it's on YouTube. That's all I can say.
All right.
And but it's a TikTok video. So
I appreciate it.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
All right. Thank you. And thank you for everything.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Yeah. Speaking of Charlie Kirk, when Charlie Kirk got shot, I was, I recognized how much we lost immediately. I mean, I was a fan and I would watch his stuff, and he was unique and just amazing to watch, his debate skills and how well he handled himself was just, I'm a speech instructor, and watching what he did was far beyond anything I taught or was aware of. I mean, he was intelligence. He was on top of it. And he knew to listen, and I just really enjoyed. When he got shot, I refused to watch anymore. I was too sad to watch anymore. I didn't want to watch him anymore. And there's a lot of videos he's got out there that I never saw. I didn't see everything he ever did. He was prolific. He did a lot. I just couldn't watch him more, but I saw something just the other day, like I think within the last week or so, and just amazing to look at it again to see how good he really was in getting his point across. And he got his point across by listening to their points. And that's when their points fall apart completely. And he can pick them apart versus a lot of what you see now is people yelling at each other and no one ever listens. And you don't allow your opponent or someone you disagree with to get their full thoughts out. Well, let them get their full thoughts out. Those full thoughts usually hang them if they're that far off base, if they're that liberal and that committed to communism. Get them to explain it, and it sometimes falls apart. It can fall apart on its own, man. As far as JD Vance with Joe Rogan, I just saw clips of that, I didn't realize it was 2.5 hours long. And I heard a comment about that this morning sometime. I was listening to something. And the comment was on how good it is to see someone like a Joe Rogan be able to sit down with a JD Vance for 2.5 hours. Because you're going to cut through any canned speeches, you're going to cut through any clinging to ideology or something, and you get down to real explanations. Because Joe will keep asking the questions, and Joe will keep drilling down and going down through the layers of everything. And someone like JD Vance has nothing to worry about. The more you learn about him and the layers you go through, the more likable he is. But if somebody's that's trying to live a lifestyle other than what they really are, truly are, it's not going to work well for them. But I think Rogan does a great job. Well informed, good background, good ability to get it done. Of course, that's why he gets paid $100 million or so. That's a $100 million contract, because he's good and he's got those connections and stuff. He's done a great job. And JD Vance looked tremendously comfortable with him. Just, and that wasn't the first time. He got interviewed by Joe Rogan before the election, right after Donald Trump did. And those were excellent. Better now. Vance has become much more experienced and better refined and more himself, more relaxed, I think. And he was already good. But I think he's even gotten better. And obviously he's got so much more information now, because the questions are about the things that are going on currently, the things that he's involved in the last year and a half, working in the Trump administration as the vice president. So really excellent. I haven't seen the whole thing. I've seen bits and pieces. I owe it to myself to spend the 2.5 hours, sit down and get that done. As far as Sandy mentioning the SAVE Act will have no effect, I didn't see that part of it. I don't know that it. I don't know that it will or won't. I don't know how much time has to be given. I don't know if it depends on states and states policies on how it fits in. I don't know. That's an interesting question. Let's take a phone call. You're on the air.
Hey, Russ, it's Mike again.
Hey, Mike.
I don't know which Mike I am, but I just wanted to call and let Gilligan's head explode. But
okay.
OG a while back said that there was an anti-communist law on the books, and I think Eisenhower had it. It's the Communist Control Act of 1954. Is that still in play?
I don't know. There were, and of course, right, that was the McCarthy era and all that stuff with the communists, and I don't know what exists from that at all. I'd have to ask OG or take a look. I'd have to take a look. Yeah.
I mean, that's all that politics has come down to, is trying to find all these little nooks and crannies to destroy the Constitution, and the Democrats are very good at that.
Yeah.
But if that act is still in effect, and the Democrat Party is promoting communism, I think they should lose their charter, because it's illegal to be a communist in this country.
I just asked AI real quick, and it says the United States has historically enacted several federal laws to restrict, monitor, and criminalize communist activities, primarily during the Red Scare and the Cold War. While most are rarely enforced or have been struck down, some remain on the books today. Communist Control Act of 1954, signed by Dwight Eisenhower, outlaws the Communist Party USA and strips the party of its rights, privileges, and immunities by declaring it a conspiracy to overthrow the United States government. Shoot, I think that one should be an act right now, because the Democrat socialists are absolutely advocating destroying the United States Constitution.
Did you just say that it was an act? It was still in effect?
Correct.
What are the Republicans? Where are the Republicans, using this as the foil against this stuff? There's, communism is the opposite of the Constitution.
Of course.
And to allow this to happen and go unchallenged, and if that act is still in effect, I got to tell you, again, that's just a.
Well, it's called the Communist Control Act, and it's about outlawing the Communist Party. These guys are calling themselves Socialist Party. And I think there's a case to be made that it's the same policies that were outlawed with the Communist control.
Are very good at words, aren't they?
Yeah.
It's all one thing. There's no difference between communist, socialist, progressive. It's all under the umbrella of Marxist. And that's you want to sit there and mince words as this stuff is going across the country.
Yeah.
I just sent you something a couple of days ago about the 26 states have Islam as a major religion.
Yeah.
It's if this is still in effect. And let me tell you, I love Elon Musk. I love Eli Crane. As a matter of fact, there's a man who needs donations. $5, $1. He needs money to help him in his campaign. Andy Biggs. Come on now, where is this stuff? The Democrat Party, if this law act is in effect, they need to lose their charter.
Well, there's some comments from AI on it. It says today these laws are largely toothless. The Supreme Court has consistently ruled that broad bans are on mere membership or political association infringe upon First Amendment. And there has been, it's gone to the Supreme Court, and they've said, and it says, because many of these laws are constitutionally unenforceable, individuals continue to run for office and participate in communist or socialistic organizations. However, several states also passed their own anti-communist laws during the 20th century, a few of which have faced recent legal scrutiny. So they have been in the years past, and the Supreme Court has not allowed it to be enforced.
Well, has this particular law been shot down by the Supreme Court?
Yes, United States versus Roble, 1967.
This act.
It says it overturned provisions preventing communists from working in defense facilities, and in Albertson versus Subversive Activities Control Board, 1965, and that forced and it found that forcing communists to register violated their Fifth Amendment protection. So. A lot of holes in it, and that's probably why you don't see a lot of action on it.
I think our Republican congressmen and senators ought to get together and make a law that this cannot be in this country because it is contradictory to the Constitution.
Well, and Supreme Court's already ruled that's kind of like too broad. So I don't know, but you're right. It should be discussed anyway. Hey, I don't know, but you're right. You're breaking up on me, Mike. You still there?
I'm still there.
Oh,
can
okay.
You hear me?
Yeah, now I can. Yeah, I was muffled.
Well, I just wanted to bring that forward so that people could hear that.
Yeah.
And ask our Republican Party to go after that and put that back on the books.
It's a conversation worth having. I need to talk to Elijah Norton. He's running for Attorney General, and ask him about that stuff. I'll be curious what his answers would be. He seems to be an energetic, aggressive legal mind. I'd like to know what he thinks. Oh, I mean, he's running for Secretary of State. I'm sorry. I think it's
his name is
Elijah Norton.
Elijah Norton. Okay.
Yeah.
So, all right. You have a nice day.
You too, buddy. Bye-bye. I think, or is it? The Attorney General running is the President of the Senate, and then Rodney. Both of them running for Attorney General, and either one of them I would take. right now. Iran drawing red lines. I started saying that. It's kind of amazing. You think when I think of red lines, I think of Barack Obama. He infamously talked about Syria, that if chemical weapons are used, he draws a red line. If chemical weapons are used against civilian populations or something. Of course, right after that, they did it. And he just ignored it. So I don't know if this is a red line that makes sense or not, but Tehran, they said like they would unleash widespread military attacks across the region if the United States strikes the country's key infrastructure. A spokesman for Iran said in the recent threats by the empty-headed United States president to target the infrastructure of the Islamic Republic of Iran are carried out, then everything that out of Iran's restraint has so far remained intact, namely all infrastructure in the region, will be crushed under the powerful blows of Iranians' armed forces. And of course, they're talking about the infrastructure in the region, meaning their partners and stuff that have. And they have attacked water plants and power plants in their neighbors' area that have military bases from the United States. Well, it's just amazing that the more that they're bombed, the more that they're losing military capacity, the more threatening they become. It's just almost comical at this point, unfortunately. Spokesman also says Iran would not allow the U.S. to intervene in the Straits of Hormuz under any circumstances. That's in Iran's invisible red line. So this guy obviously knows Barack Obama. He's got a red line going on. It hasn't deterred the United States at all. They've pretty much taken over the Strait of Hormuz, and they have blockaded all the Iranian ships again. Yeah, that blockade's back on. The blockade's not on others now. The Straits of Hormuz are open for traffic. Being open for traffic and being used for traffic are two different things. It's open for traffic, according to the United States, and they're helping in that endeavor. And I think I heard yesterday or the day before there's only 20-some ships live in the low 20s. I can't remember the exact number. Which keep in mind, that strait normally could see up to 100 ships a day go through the straits. And the problem is not that it's not open. The problem is that it's dangerous. And it being dangerous means the insurance on these vehicles are astronomical. Like 20 times, 30 times what you normally would be for these ships to get through there. It's a very expensive, very, very expensive endeavor. And I know the United States is full bore ahead right now with a goal of taking everything out that possibly could endanger the ships. And I don't think that's a small task, even though the lion's share of their military stuff has been destroyed. If they have 10% of it left, that's enough to cause real havoc, and that's what they're working with right now. The thing that this spokesman's talking about is Trump has specifically outlined exactly what he's going to do. He threatened to expand the military strikes and continue hitting Iran very hard unless they return to the negotiating table, which they've already done. And that's been for 5 days now, 5 days in a row. And apparently it's hitting heavier than they did in the initial 10 days that they were striking them. He said earlier in this week, Donald Trump threatened to expand the military strikes. Next week, he says, it gets really bad for them because next week comes the power plants. And I guess that's what bothers the spokesman. You shouldn't make threats while you're throwing bombs and destroying stuff. It's kind of surreal, and who knows which spokesman and which section of Iran they're in charge of, if they're military or this guy is, I think, and I can't pronounce his name. I think he's in central headquarters. I don't know what central headquarters is. Trump goes on saying, next week comes the bridges. So next week and the next week after that. So in 2 weeks comes the bridges. We're going to knock out all their power plants. We're going to knock out all their bridges unless they come to the table to negotiate. And it wasn't a few days ago. He says he's not interested in talking. I guess after 5 days, maybe he thinks they're softened up enough. I have no idea what Trump's thinking. I can just relate to you what he's saying. If I had to guess, if he could get something serious that we're really going to talk and we're not just goofing around here, I'm sure he would. It would make a difference. But until then, and I had Gilbert on the phone, but I didn't ask him. But Gilbert really wanted this to happen months ago. He didn't think that the ceasefire, of course, was a ceasefire with daily kinetic energy, which is always interesting. Trump says U.S. is rebuilding military as Iran's losses are 90% of weapon capability. And this was happened on Wednesday when talking about threats to his life. And he's been kind of open about that. And he was on the airplane coming out of Turkey when the reporters were asking, why do we close the windows and stuff? And he talked about the threats on his life. In fact, he talked about to the reporters and said, if I'm hit, so are you, or if I go down, so are you. So you should, rethink your profession. Maybe you don't want to be a reporter or something. If something along that line, that not a quote, but something along those lines, like Air Force One's pretty safe, but you're not guaranteed safety right now. Let's take a phone. Hey, Gilbert.
My ears were perking.
Oh, I'm sorry. I did mention your name. I hadn't asked you about, you've been a real advocate that Trump should continue the kinetic action, that we shouldn't be talking to these people because they're liars. You like what's going on better?
I like what's going on better, but what again, I'm laughing because it says we need to bring him to the table. For what? I mean, I understand all that, but again, every time they come to the table, something happens, just like the Paris Peace. And history repeats itself.
Well, let me throw you this history then. The history of Japan was they were never going to surrender. Every last man was going to die.
Exactly.
They were never going to do it. 2 nuclear bombs later, they said, let's go to the table. And it was an unconditional surrender.
Yeah, and we don't want the atomic bomb there. I don't want the atomic bomb.
No.
Because too many people are going to get killed. One thing you got to realize about Iran and Iraq, they have a lot of mountains. And those mountains, a lot of caves.
Right.
And we were fighting inch by inch in Okinawa and Iwo Jima because of the tunnel. And we had to use flamethrowers to bring them out, back then. But we have precise missiles now that can go into those tunnels. If we can't drive them out, we can bury them.
Well, we've got so much things we didn't have then, and one of it's information and satellite systems and stuff, and they can detect movement everywhere. If they're on the surface, they can detect movement, and right now Trump is starving them of energy, starving them of power, starving them of food, of water. You could stay in those caves and be hidden, but you're not going to survive it long without food, water, power, all that stuff.
What's helping us now, I believe, since we know about the 50,000 people that were executed recently, correct?
Yeah, correct.
But the people in that area know about it more, and they know about it firsthand. They've seen it. Now, I believe their fear tactics have caused them to say, enough of this, we need to band together.
Yeah. And
I like the idea of sending arms in there instead of our ground troops. You got the Kurds and you got the Saudi Arabia and all them, and the people and relatives of those that were killed are ready to make a movement.
I question that. I don't know. And my understanding is, and I heard this from another military analyst that said that weapons were given to the Kurds to give to the Iranians, and the Kurds kept them. But
that was before we were doing what we're doing.
Okay.
Correct. Am I correct in that assessment?
Oh, yeah, it happened a while ago, and there was a thought from Trump that they were going to take some of those weapons and make a big difference. And there have been uprisings all throughout Iran. A lot of it.
Was that his first term that we gave the Kurds?
No, I'm talking within the last few months.
The last few months we gave the Kurds weapons and they kept them.
And the Kurds kept and didn't deliver them to the Ukrainians.
Right.
Yeah.
Then again, they needed to arm themselves because I believe those are are the ones that are going to be our ground troops there. We're going to make a financial, should I say, exploration to the Kurds and surrounding armies to take care of our ground troops. To take care of the ground troops being.
I'm curious of what's going to happen, but I imagine whatever does happen, there's going to be something, some trick up somebody's sleeve, and we're all going to say, "Wow, I didn't know they could do that," or "I didn't know that was the plan." I don't think we know everything, obviously.
Have you noticed how quiet Israel is right now?
Well, they are quiet, but they're still in there with Hezbollah in southern Lebanon.
Yes, but what I'm getting at, that every time Israel gets quiet, something happens. Major happens.
Do you notice that Iran, when they're mad now about what's going on, they didn't fire a single rocket or drone at Israel. They left it alone. And they hate Israel more than anybody.
Oh, they got spanked like a red-headed stepchild in East LA. That's why. But I'm seeing some stuff. And again, I keep on hearing Trump says we need them at the table for what?
Well, we took Japan to the table after the nuclear bombs, and I'm not advocating nuclear either. But I think this is just as devastating what they're doing. It's just when do they realize it? When does Iran realize that they've lost?
Okay, I'll tell you what. I would be very happy if Iran comes across with an unconditional surrender.
That's what I think it should be.
Yeah, that's that. Then I will stop saying there's peace talks, because that's all we've seen, Russ.
I know.
History repeating itself over and over and over again. Every time we go to the table, they yaddy, and then they start firing again.
There's a lot of rhetoric that that they would say, "I'd rather die than do that," but things happen once you get close to it. There's who knows. No one thought the Japanese would ever. I mean, there was people that believed, I'm sure, that the Japanese had to be killed, every man, woman, and child, because there's no way they would ever surrender, but they did.
We were looking at 2 million casualties if we went into Japan itself.
That was a non-starter.
Yeah, that's what they told us. We'd be looking at 2 million American troops dying.
Because they knew that every Japanese man, woman, and child would fight. And that's part of the reason Japanese would never attack America, because they knew we had so many firearms.
We had
hunters.
We had a bullet behind every blade of grass.
Oh, that's right. That was.
Is that what Yamamoto said?
I don't remember who that was attributed to, but I remember hearing that. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's where we're at with them. And again, for me to be comfortable, I'd like to see an unconditional surrender and let the people bring their government back to what it was once.
I certainly haven't heard that rhetoric from anybody, but it would be interesting.
I remember seeing these gorgeous women from Iran coming to America when they were able to dress down, or I should say, dress modern style.
Yeah. Dress without, dress without putting a complete burqa on that covers every inch except the 1 inch around the eyes or something. That's it. It's kind of crazy.
Well, hell, they had this woman. She was whipped 70-some times because she sang without her burqa on.
Yeah, or part of her hair was showing or something. I heard about that. They were flogged or something. Just brutal stuff. Yeah.
Whether you're flogged or whipped, it's the same action, right?
It's exact same. Yeah, or caned even. You get caned in Taiwan. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, look what happened to our young man that was it graffiti he did in Taiwan or
I don't remember.
Japan?
I don't remember.
You know what I'm talking about, right?
No, I'm not.
A young man got caned.
Yeah,
he got busted for graffiti or something.
Well, you're in a foreign country. You're kind of going to be subject to their rules and regulations, and I'm sure it's a big surprise when you realize, like, I get caned for that.
Wait a minute. Let me correct you there, Mr. Russell.
What's up,
Uncle Russell? Let me correct you.
Yeah, man.
Every country except for the U.S. You can come in here, break the laws, and we're just going to feed you. We're going to house you, and we're going to give you money.
I think it depends on the state and the party that's ruling the local area.
It's still America.
Yeah.
Come to America.
Yeah, you're not wrong. You're right. But I think there's a difference if you end up, in certain areas, they're not going to put up with the shenanigans. And other areas are going to give you a prize, and like Minnesota.
You don't do, South Carolina, North Carolina, the Carolinas, Arkansas, Alabama, Texas, Arizona.
Yeah.
You got some reckoning to do.
A lot different. So they ought to be careful where they land, man, if they're going to do a bunch of crap.
That's right. All right,
Thank
Russ,
you, sir.
We'll catch you in the rebound.
Take care, man. Bye-bye. As Mr. Gilbert. Trump says the U.S. rebuilding military is what he's doing, which he's asked for a lot of money, and I heard a lot of noise about it from the Democrat stuff too, because he was asking for over $1 trillion in the budget. That was up substantially. But he says the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, which says it's lost 90% of its weapons capability. I don't know how you figure out the 90%. I don't have any way of saying he's wrong, but he made the remarks during an interview, I guess, just the other day, where he highlighted gains in U.S. defense economy, announced $10 billion in private investment for the defense industry. I don't know where that came from. And remember when he said the Straits of Hormuz, he was going to take control and charge everybody a 20% fee? And then like the next day he said, I had a conversation with a lot of the players like Saudi Arabia and the people that use the strait, and they come up with a better plan. And we'll keep it open at no charge. And they're going to invest in our country. Maybe that's where it comes from. I have no idea. He doesn't specifically say. The president said he was not concerned about threats from Iran. And and he says, we're continuing to carry out strikes with it and continuing doing that. And says, he says, we're going to be in good shape. And he was talking during the interview. He said they've been depleted. Their weapons are down 91%. The drone capacity is way down. They still have, but not a lot. Their manufacturing capabilities down. Their rocket launchers, missile launchers are way down. Their missiles are way down. Which we see on video all the time. The War Department has released a lot, declassified a lot of video of just showing these missiles attack, and missiles hit things time after time after time. Of course, there's been so much of it, I don't think you could watch it ourselves. He said the U.S. is building up its military with the Defense Production Act and companies working to refill supplies and replenish American forces. There was a lot of noise about we're shooting so many missiles, we're shooting so much stuff, we can't replenish it fast enough. And he's asked other companies to get involved, as well as the companies that do, to step up productions. No idea if anybody's what's happening as far as that, but he seems confident that it's working. Well, we have to watch ourselves. It's called America First, and we're building up our reserves very rapidly. And you probably also know the great companies that we have now building plants, although not just one plant that they're used for a long time and doing overtime. We have 4, 5, 6 plants by each of major companies being built, brand new plants in different areas to make an example. As an example, you should say the Patriot missile, which is so heavily sought at, or the Tomahawk missiles, I guess, are building plants. And when he says sought, it's not just our military. We supply a lot of our allies with that equipment. Patriots are all over NATO, and Tomahawks, I think, are all over NATO. There's not, I guess, a lot of the stuff that we use, F-35s and all that, they're all over. There's one plane that I know that is not for sale and cannot be owned by anybody but us. That's the F-22. The F-22 is too powerful, too secret, too stealth to let anybody have one. It's been kind of fun that we have a plane that's it's just mine. It's my plane. You can't have one. The F-35, they can take it, I guess, and it's been impressive. I know it's not an F-22 though, and the F-22 was so expensive that they didn't want to. They wanted something more utilitarian, maybe a little slower, a little less stealth, but a little more cost friendly and maintenance friendly and everything else. There's a few I want to get to because I'm running out of time. I can't get to all of it. Tim Waltz. I want to talk a little bit about him. Tim Waltz has been amazingly horrible. It's almost laughable, except it hurts our country. Except that, I mean, he was chosen to be the vice president by Kamala Harris to represent white men, I guess, to be manly and all that. And it's an embarrassment. You know, he's a hands guy and all. And him handling that shotgun that time is just such an image. It's been terrible, the whole thing. But his actions are worse. I mean, his imagery's bad, but what he's actually been doing, and the more we find out about what he's been doing, is even worse than his action. And there was a pardon of Laotian national in Minnesota that he did. And it doesn't say the date. Oh, it doesn't say the date, but it's a name Tu Li Vang, 42 years old. He received a pardon from Minnesota's Board of Pardons on June 10th. Okay, it was on June 10th. I mean, he's just recently. And then on Friday, Trump administration announced that his legal status had been revoked, and at that time had been deported to his home country in Laos, right? I mean, Minnesota pardons him for crimes. So Waltz is asked about the deportation of Mr. Vang and the deportation, and asked, did that make us any safer to pardon him? He says, did that make the children that were left behind any more stable? I mean, I'm sorry, that's Waltz talking about Trump throwing him out of the country, taking him out. He said, did that make us any safer? Did that make the children that were left behind any more stable? Did it improve the idea that we can't be judged by our worst day? And I want to be very clear. These are horrific crimes. They often are. Okay. He committed horrific crimes, but they pardoned him. Marco Rubio, talking about Vance's deportation on Friday, said Americans should never have to live in fear that foreign sex predators, he was a sex predator, shielded from deportation by their own elected officials, could endanger them or their children. That's why I terminated his legal status in the United States. Vang has now been removed from our country and will never pose a threat to any American citizen again. Here's what Vang admitted to before he was pardoned. Repeatedly sexually assaulting a girl over a period of several years, beginning when she was 10 years old. He entered the United States and California in 1994, was granted legal status during the Clinton administration. And then between 2002 and 2004, he repeatedly sexually assaulted the victim in St. Paul, Minnesota. She was in the 4th grade. He was convicted. Federal officials said Vang lost legal status and was placed under a final removal order. Minnesota Clemency Review Commission recommended a pardon for Vang. The board pardon made up of Waltz, Attorney General Keith Eliason, Minnesota Supreme Court Chief Justice Natalie Hudson. They were the Board of Pardons, granted the pardon. And then Waltz defended the decision. He cited that the criminals, the decision for citing the victim's support for Vang's pardon, among other factors. So I guess the victims forgave him. I don't know. It doesn't say specifically. A spokesperson for the Minnesota Attorney General, Keith Ellison, said the pardon did not protect Vang from deportation. What kind of excuse is that? So, like, he pardons a guy, and it gets found out, goes public, guy gets deported right afterwards because of his heinous acts. He said, well, we didn't protect him from deportation. Well, that's federal. That's true. But you didn't really answer the question, like, why the heck did you do that in the first place? At the time, the Assistant Secretary Lauren Biss criticized, said Governor Tim Walz's decision to pardon an illegal alien convicted child rapist so he can remain in our country is disgusting. These are criminal, illegal aliens he and the Minnesota sanctuary politicians are protecting. No, he's just a St. Paul dad. Yeah, that's all he was, just a St. Paul dad. And then And then when it gets found out, it goes to the press, and Walt starts asking these stupid questions. Did it make us any safer to deport him? Did that make the children that were left behind any more stable to deport him? Did it improve the idea that we can't be judged by our worst day? This guy's governor. Of course, he's not running again. He's going to be gone. I don't know what the people of Minnesota are going to do with him. Greg Wilkinson, who is from the area and has contacts there now, said, everybody dislikes the guy now. Well, somebody doesn't. I imagine that people that Greg associate with themselves are as horrified as the rest of us about all that kind of stuff. Trump. I wanted to make sure I got this in before the show was over. He's going to be on air tonight to do an address. Somebody asked me the other day, or today, I think, even that Trump's in the news every day. Yeah, pretty much. Biden may have been in the news every day, but the news may have been that we haven't heard from Biden today. So we hear from Trump regularly. He's going to be in the news. 6 p.m. There's going to be a broadcast and address from the White House at 6 o'clock tonight, our time, 9 o'clock Eastern time. He said the Thursday night address will focus on free and fair elections. So I'm sure he's got some news or something about the Save America Act. I don't know if he doesn't give an indication that everybody's going to be happy. It's more of a tease. You got to tune in. Carolyn Leavitt, the White House press secretary, says, as usual, anonymous sources are speculating about the President Trump will be saying during his speech on Thursday night. The truth is, nobody knows yet what the president will ultimately say, which is why everyone should tune in. Carolyn may know. I don't think she'll tell us. Trump says it will be a potpourri. A senior advisor says that the president wants to, Iran is something that they wants to address. Potpourri for, it means a little bit of everything. It's going to be a large amount of things. Trump says Thursday it doesn't get bigger because without free and fair elections, you don't have a country. We'll be discussing other things too, but it's going to be a very big announcement. A sitcom announced another round of strikes in Iran Wednesday morning, marking the 5th straight day. Gas prices. I hate doing this. It doesn't look good for gas as far as going down really a lot. We had gotten Brent crude is what I normally follow. Just, there's other crudes out there, but I follow the Brent, which comes out of that area. It was up over 120 very short amount of time. It was over $100 for a long amount of time, for months during this conflict, and everything is, it got tough to get the ships out of that, and the threats were so high. Then it got down to near 70. I mean, I saw 71 or something for a short amount of time, but then it hovered between 72, 75 for a few weeks. Right now, this morning, it's 84.54. So it's not 100, but it went the wrong direction. Because of the kinetic activity, the thing with just Iran not wanting to be peaceful, and we got to live with it. And they can have that effect on the world economy. I think at some point they want to have that kind of recognition that they're that powerful. They're the most powerful country out there. Yeah, 84.78. I just brought it up again. 84.78. So it's plus 0.06% today, which is not good. It means it's now I say 86.26. No, that was the day high. 83 was the day low. So it's been bouncing around between 83 and 86. And remember, it was 72 to 75 for a few weeks now. It seems to be about $10 higher. We'll see where it goes. I don't know. It reacts quickly. The markets react quickly to the threats and stuff. So we know. Oh, a few a few rude remarks. What? On my YouTube, obscene stuff about kill all trans Muslims, illegal aliens, horrible. Japan is the only ally in the United States, and take Cuba by force. Uh, don't 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 know about killing anybody. No, can't condone any of that. Japan is an ally, and they've been a great ally right now. Japan, with the new prime minister, she's her and Trump seem to get along fabulously, and she's a very big supporter. Take Cuba by force. I have no idea what's going to happen with Cuba, but I think it won't be much of any force needed. I think they're pretty much starving right now and hungry for something. So I got the impression that Trump isn't going to do much with that until Iran's put to bed on what direction it is and something stable, which may be a while, or maybe he's going to say it tonight. But you need to tune in tonight to find out. Don't know. Don't know. Something. James Carville. I'll talk about him in a minute. And James Carville's still interesting. I don't think he's important necessarily, but interesting. Democrats Senate. I don't know how much you pay into the polls. The polls, they're interesting to watch. It doesn't have as much meaning as you think at times. Look, Susan Collins in the polls has never been ahead in the polls ever when she's won. She's won 3 elections up there in the Senate and Democrats, and sometimes she's even down by double digits and single digits, and she's won like that. Right now, she's leading the polls. Now it's scary. It's new territory. So and Trump is behind by the polls in 16 by what, 5%. So I recognize the polls are not always foolproof for a lot of reasons, and they keep trying to get them better and trying to figure out where their shortcomings are. I think part of it is their bias. A lot of people that do the polls are biased. But anyway, they do polling on the Senate as a whole on each Senate and every race to try to figure out will the Republicans keep the Senate or lose the Senate, or the House or lose the House. And the ones I've been watching as had the Senate almost 50-50 chance of Republicans, keeping it. Some slightly more, but it's never been huge. And the last one I saw, which was yesterday or day before, from this same group, now has that if the election were today, that the House or the Senate would be 53 senators and 53 Republican senators and 47 Democrats. I mean, that sounds like good news. Of course, it's early. It's not November yet. We don't know all the tricks that are going to come out from either party right now, but that's encouraging, and some of that had to do with Plattner too, and Mandani, and some of the communist things that have been coming out about from the left, and the communists winning is scared some people, and that's actually moved some of the numbers. I think, that's a guess, but they do the House too, and the House has been historically that the incumbent that gets elected into the executive branch, the new president, is going to lose. Is going to lose House seats. That's been the historic nature of things. The not always though. There are times it's when I can't cite them right now, but there are a few of them. It's most common to lose. Obama, I can't remember, 40, 50 seats he lost. Obama did, and Clinton lost a ton the same way. With the Newt Gingrich coming in a contract with America. And so there's been some real bloody for the incumbent, awakenings. We lost 50 seats or 40 seats or 30 seats. It's been huge things. And I know we talk about this redistricting stuff, the gerrymandering, and like it's the catch-all. It's going to automatically flip things. It doesn't. It doesn't. Because those times when those big flips come in, it doesn't mean that they were gerrymandered, that we changed the distribution of Republicans and Democrats in each district. It just meant that there was enough going on to flip those seats in districts that were, historically one way may have flipped the other for a while, regardless of the registered voters. Don't know. But anyway, the most current ones on the House are showing hope for the Republicans, and that the most current one showed that the Republicans hold on to the House. So it's still slim margins, which would be remarkable, and that would destroy the left's plans. They have like 140 different reasons to impeach Trump now. They've been collecting them. Edward has sent me some things at times on how many there are actually of things that they've got in the hopper to come up to impeach him for. And it's a lot of ridiculous stuff. One, well, you invaded Iran, so we're going to impeach you. So I was talking about the Dem Senate hopefuls. Pink glove meltdown resurfaces. I didn't know what that was. A pink glove meltdown resurfaces. Representative Haley Stevens was mocked this week because she had a campaign speech about the Michigan way. I watched it. It was cringeworthy. It was her deal wasn't as bad as the pink glove speech, though, and apparently that's why it came back up. Something happened back in 2020. She was yelling at speeches or telling supporters. I guess she was she was excited and adrenaline and everything. And she told supporters she would bring a little bit of enthusiasm, a little bit of energy, and a little bit of stick it to them because that's the Michigan way. And it was cringeworthy when she did it. It was not good. It was a stump speech she did. So people started looking into her a little bit and started bringing up this 2020 House floor episode where she put on some pink gloves. I think they were, like medical type stuff. But Stevens wore pink latex, during comments about the coronavirus pandemic. And this was back then. And she says, "I rise for every American who is scared right now." And that was during March 2020 floor speech, requesting additional time, pointing to the gloves she was wearing. Her voice was raising, testimony progressed, and the speaker pro tem residing in the House tried to gavel Stevens out repeatedly, which they're supposed to keep control of that. You speak when your time, and then you stop. It was Steny Hoyer that the leader at the time, yielded her 30 more seconds. And so Stevens continued, and she addressed doctors, nurses, and all that kind of stuff. And you will see darkness. You will be pushed, and our society needs you to stand together at this time. Our country loves you. To our doctors, our nurses, I wear these latex gloves to tell every American to not be afraid. Of course, we should have been afraid of the vaccine, mostly. So the speakers said that the gentle lady, time has expired. The gentle lady from Michigan is out of order. And the pro temp, even, the Stevens, that was him at that time. What Stevens refused. Enthusiasm stayed high, and they said the gentle lady from Michigan is out of order. Gentle lady from Michigan is no longer recognized. I don't know if you've seen him do that before. That's too terribly uncommon, but she kept going on. It brought it up to today just to see some of the ridiculousness of, I guess we're in an election cycle, so pink gloves are going to come out and be ridiculed. But they end up voting for these people. This Haley Stevens, I mean, she's already been out there. She's now running. Is she running for the Senate? Yeah, she's running for the Senate. So she made a fool of herself in 2020 with the pink gloves. And now she's making a fool of herself running for the Michigan Senate seat. What's wrong with those people up north? We'll see what happens. Hirano in Hawaii, another Democrat that will probably retain her seat and keep it. I mean, I think Hawaii is as far left as any place in the country. I mean, the entire state is. It's very left for some reason. She just recently asked Todd Blanche. Now, that's the acting attorney, Todd Blanche. And I think he's up. He's up to take that job permanently. And she's going to ask him questions. And the question she asked is, since you've become a legal adult, have you ever made unwanted requests for sexual favors or committed any verbal or physical harassment or assault of a sexual nature? That's the question. Which I thought that's just kind of crazy, but Hirano did that. Now, the answer was no, Senator. Have you ever faced discipline or entered into a settlement related to this kind of conduct? No, Senator. So I thought, these are the questions we're going to ask somebody that's, to be the attorney general of the country and all that kind of stuff. And I guess it's just a fishing expedition. I mean, obviously, she didn't have any reason or rationale to do it, like a confession from somebody that claims to be a victim or anything. Well, the White House put a response into that right away. It said, low IQ. I don't even think this is written by Trump anymore. This is just the White House. Low IQ at Mazie Hirono begins her questioning of Todd Blanche, an esteemed professional with honorable record in public service, by asking, have you ever made unwanted requests for sexual favors? What a joke. I don't know. Does Trump write his own? I don't think so. Somebody's channeling him. Apparently, it's not new for her. She's done this before. She's asked the same line of questioning to Secretary Interior Doug Burgum last year. I didn't pick up on that, which she did the same thing to him, and she did it even back in 2018. Let me see. But she's getting like a lot of pushback on X and all that kind of stuff for it. But I don't think you're going to change her. The Republican National Lawyer Association says, raise your hand if you're tired of Hirono's favorite Senate judiciary line of questioning. Apparently, she's noted for doing that to everybody. Eric Daugherty, out of the chief content officer for Right Line News, said the White House is ripping deranged Senator Mazie Hirono for demanding AG Todd Blanche answer. Have you ever made unwanted requests for sexual favors? Blanche, no, Senator. She does it to everyone. Absolutely nuts, according to another user. And then in 2018, she actually wrote that she's asking nominees of our court under oath whether or not they have a history of sexual assault or harassment. And she just put it out there in 2018. And I guess she's living up to that word. I don't know if it's necessary or advantageous or even acceptable to ask that question. I mean, there's so many things I would rather know, I guess, than that, than whether or not they're going to cough up some stuff. Why don't you ask it to all the Democrats like Garalo and all that go forward? I know he hasn't, to my knowledge, I don't think anyone's come up against him, our senator, even though he has a history of friends that have that issue. Carvel, who is just an entertainment. Now, Carvel's famous for helping get Clinton elected and making comments like it's the economy stupid, like boiling down what's important in a race and all that kind of stuff. And he's outspoken, and he's gotten really crazy. He's become an angry old man. He's putting his attention, though, and his anger on the Democrat socialists, which is interesting, and makes it good for me. I'm fine with it. I think he's right. Also, what he's saying. He said these people are so blanking stupid. I don't know what to say. That's how he starts it off. He's criticizing the insurgent Democrat social and arguing that they are dividing the Republican Party, of course, which I think it's true, but there's always been factions within both parties. I mean, either party that it's not one faction. I wouldn't say 100% of Republicans are MAGA Republicans or 100% of Democrat or not Democratic Socialists, but they seem to be the most attention right now. Carville says, I think the role of government is to help people, be a partner with people, to help them get educated, to help them have retirement security, to make them secure in this world and make them secure in their home. And if you believe that, blame the left wing of the Democratic Party for the catastrophe that we face right now, because as much as any group, it's their fault. That's amazing from a prominent Democrat. And I say prominent, I don't know that the left is going to call him prominent right now. James Carville, and he says, I wasn't planning on doing something, but I kept hearing idiocy being repeated, and I feel like I gotta say something because it's all so blank stupid. Don't let me give you a brief history of the 21st century American presidential politics, and I'm going to tell you the truth. And this is the gospel truth. You can go ahead and question it, but this poop in the year 2000, it was Al Gore and George Bush. Al Gore clearly won Florida, which I disagree with. But they stopped the recount. The Supreme Court just decided an American election throughout the will of the people. Yes, they did stop because it was a never ending with no actionable results. Like they were checking chads, and they had punch cards. They were checking to see if punch cards had a dent in them that you tried to punch it, but it didn't go through, and they're trying to read the punch card like a tea leaf on what the intent of the voters were. So it got kind of like out of control. So they just stopped it. They stopped the recount, and they said, enough of this nonsense. And the result was that George W. Bush won, not by a landslide, but he won. The only reason that the race was close enough for Scalia and Rehnquist and company to steal, you understand, I get this straight, because Ralph Nader ran. That's right. There was an attack from the left. He said Clinton years, when you had an explosion in personal income growth, you had balanced budgets, you had peace around the world. It was believed, and I'm sure true, that the United States at the turn of the 21st century was the most ascended nation economically, militarily, and culturally since H.N. Roe. That is, you heard that correctly. Then Mr. Nader gets in. Rehnquist, Scalia steal the presidential election, of which the media establishment says, well, the court has spoken. Gore did the right thing. He went, and then he went off in the sunset. Maybe he did, maybe he didn't. I'm looking and thinking, like, when Gore ran for president at the turn of the century, and I'm watching this horrific flooding in southeast Missouri, and of course, what could be causing all of this? Gee, I don't know. Maybe Al Gore was right. But we had to have Ralph Nader because it's not pure enough. And we're too corporate, and it's this blanking nonsense. Yes, just drivel when I'm gone, when the war, deficits, recessions, disaster, anything you can think of. And then Obama comes in, and he gets 8 years, and now we're going again. And the most catastrophic event of this century, I think, my own view, I think, has been a distant election of 2016. How did Trump win? See, they can't get over that stuff. Hillary can't get over that stuff. They're still mad about it. I says, I'll tell you how, because blank, Bernie Sanders is the reason Donald Trump is president. You hear me? Listen to me. Well, I'm not going to disagree with them. Bernie Sanders was winning, I think, a lot of stuff, and the Democrat Party was just ramrodding Hillary Clinton through. But he says, I'm telling you the truth. So he runs the whole time against Hillary on this dreaded massive income growth, the dreaded reality that we're dealing with in foreign policy, the massive knowledge of knowing what the hell goes on in the world. But no, we got to blow the whole thing up again. So in spite, by the way, Hillary wins the popular vote by more than uncomfortable, because Sanders is when they're telling working people and people over Pennsylvania and Michigan, Wisconsin, places like that somehow or another it was corporatist America. Yeah, the Democrats are a corporatist party. They're co-op. They are. He's saying that sarcastically, but they have become the party of the billion, the wealthy, the party of them. They're not the middle class party. They're not the union party. Unions have been turned away from them too. Democrats just tax and spend and take care of illegals, and don't want you to show an ID and vote, even though the populace says, oh, they don't care about what the people think. There's no difference between the established Democrats and the established Republicans. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? At the turn of the century, when this country was running surpluses and running staggering economic growth, and everybody's income were going up, we're going around the world, and then they saw the war. They saw the recession. Then they came to a massive criminality. We came to trillions of dollars in added debt. We have a terrible guy war to run. This is the Democrats' fault. It's the corporate Democrats. It's all because the Democrat listened to Al Gore. These people are so blanking stupid. I don't know what to say about them. So now we have this idea that the insurgent Democrats, and what is their solution? Is their solution to beat Republicans, to run against Republicans? Is their solution to beat Democrats? They're part of the problem. No, you are part of the problem because you're a blanking idiot. You just believe that panel nonsense that drifts around the left wing. I don't know, whatever spear, block or spear, atmosphere through spear or whatever spear they got. And then you have this guy think he's too rich. I think his name, right? Al Shaid. He's running for Senate, Minnesota, and he's running against both parties. Oh, so it's both parties' fault. No, it's both parties' fault. One party expanded health insurance, another party destroyed it. One party balanced the budget, created economic prosperity, the other party destroyed it. One party brought a deal to disarm Iran's nuclear program. Another party destroyed it. And of course, he's talking about Obama there, and it was a terrible deal. It was not good. And the economic prosperity was Clinton, but that was because he agreed with the contract for America. I'm just interrupting Carville. I like his rant because it's all anti-Democrat party. He sees that it's falling apart. He's frustrated. He's angry. I mean, he helped build the Democratic Party under Bill Clinton. And now he's a cranky old man. He's letting it out. He says one party put people like Stephen Breyer and Ruth Bader Ginsburg on the Supreme Court. The other party put a pack of Brett Kavanaugh clowns on there. Brett Kavanaugh's okay. By the way, since 1992, I think it's 7 elections. I think the Democrats won the popular vote. 92, 96, 2004, 12, 16, 20, 24. So it's 8. It was 8. It was 6 out of 8. And we got 1/3 of the Supreme Court because of the blank left-wing idiots that keep promising some false version of history. And you got people like Al Shaid saying, oh, it's both parties' faults. And we don't need corporate lobbyist Democrats like James Carville. Yeah, he actually said that. I don't know how to tell you that this clown. I never lobbied anybody in my life. But of course, that's what all these blanks left-wing internet. He's actually going after just left wing. And he says, and I can't go back and correct everything that these blank idiots say. But what I can tell you, don't fall for the allure of false prophets. Don't fall and all these people ever go beat a Republican. Then come back and I will respect you. Until that, I have nothing but contempt for you. And somehow or another among Democrats, something became more important than winning elections. Mike Debbie calls me, earlier, and he's aggressive about Republicans. He's mad at Republicans because he's a Republican and he doesn't like that we don't do enough. He's kind of like James Carville's kind of like him. He's attacking the Democrats because he loves them so much, and he thinks they're all idiots. Well. And that became, I want to feel superior to people. I want to make that sound like I'm part of the cool kids. I want to be part of the cool kids. I want to hang out with them. I want to talk about corporatists, and I want to talk about both parties. Let it out. I want to talk about a pox on both of our houses. I want to talk about both centrism. I want to talk about equilibrium. And you're talking about the country into the ditch. And that's what you're doing. And of course, these people are exactly who we know they are. But every evil moment, every crappy moment that has enjoyed success has also had useful idiots. That is collaborators. That's right. That's what you are, useful idiots. That's what I think they call it during the Lenin. Now, I was thinking that exact same thing. That was when I read this. This was That was communism when they had useful idiots that helped overthrow the governments, and then they killed them. The useful idiots. Same in Cuba and everything else. You get useful idiots to band together. And then they don't need them anymore. And in those countries, that's very dangerous when they don't need you. Useful idiots are gone. I think we got a lot of useful idiots in this country, particularly when you see the LGBTQ clowns running around town with signs saying LGBTQ for Palestine. They just don't understand the world at all. I'm a student of it, but I understand it more than they do. I mean, the Palestinians would kill them. They're not going to put up with that lifestyle that they embrace. Carver goes on, collaborators who are trying to convince people that it's a systemic problem caused by both parties, when in fact it's 97-3 by one party. And that's in this century. If it wouldn't be for the Democrat left wing, we might not even have a Republican president. We sure wouldn't have one in 2000. We wouldn't have one in 2016. I'm not disagreeing with him that it's because of the Democrats that we have strong Republicans. I think the Democrats suck so bad at policy, putting policy in there, taxing more, spending more, allowing graft. I mean, look at Minnesota, the fraud. I mean, and that's a different take than what Carville's saying. I guess he embraces the fraud. But seeing all that, and it takes the Republicans to, the adults in the room to come in and clean it up, and that's why Reagan got in. That's why Trump got in, because the people before them were screwing it up so bad, policy wise, that it was just terrible. Obama too. Obama did not do anything great for us. Yeah, he brought in Obamacare, which has been a disaster, and Carville celebrates it. I think he's right by accident. Yeah, we can thank him that they suck so bad that people had to bring Republicans in just to fix it. And he says, I think everybody knows what happened in 24. Revisit that too. Yeah, I know what happened in 24. Trump won the election, as he should have. And he had to run a campaign where he knew he was going to lose the illegal stuff. That any voter fraud or anything was going to go against him, and he had to be big too to defeat, and too big. That the vote had to be big, too big to rig. And he says, I'll remind you what Warren Buffett said. The only thing that people ever learn from history is that they never learned from history. Well, Mr. Buffett, I got news for you. 15% of the Democratic Party doesn't have any blanking idea what history is. So how could they learn from it when they deny history itself? They're about as stupid as these lost cause people. They're not evil. But they view the world in about as factual as that. It's both parties. It's the competition. It's the blank butthole. So make your decision. But whatever you do, make your decision based on accurate history, accurate facts, and truth. And it's both sides. No, it's not both parties. No. Well, I agree with him. It's not. I think the Democrats absolutely are leading us down a path of destruction. And Carville embraces Biden. So I think he's a little skewed. He said, but the idea of an election and a political campaign is not to feel good about yourself, to talk about how much holier and pure and greater you are than the average stupid person. The idea is to blank and win elections. And I hope we do this. By the way, I tell my left-wing friends, run somebody for president in 28. Don't run somebody from the Bronx, all right? It goes on a little bit more, but I'm out of times. And you may not want to hear a Carville rant, but I find it interesting that he could be so wrong, but he comes to some proper conclusions. The Democrats are horrible, have been. I'll be back tomorrow. It's Thursday. I'll see you on Friday. Thanks for listening. I'm with Mortgage One here, their studios, Russ Clark.